our conversation today generates some new insights for me and perhaps for you too. It is how to make it a conversation will depend upon you because you should interrupt anytime on any slide you wish, and we can then chat about it. So, my appeal to all of you is that whatever experience and insight that I bring should not be taken with a great sense of respect because one student told me in 1981, I was teaching economics at time, first year. And he came to me after the class and said, "Sir, do you know experience is like a rear view mirror? It tells you the road traveled by, but doesn't tell you where to go. So please don't weigh my experience too much. That's not what is important. What is important is the insights and the ability to be surprised. And as I will discuss today, every day, if we are not surprised, we have not lived. We have just existed. So, getting surprised every day is a necessary condition, though not a sufficient condition for a leader, because then your quota of curiosity should never be exhausted. So, this is where we started more than 40 years ago. Honeybee Network, giving voice, visibility, and velocity to the creative and compassionate frugal ideas from around the world, but more importantly in India. And this is the building block of today's discussion as to how can we learn, no matter in which organizations we are. We may be in a corporation, we may be in a bureaucratic organization, we may be in a service organization, we may be in a manufacturing organization. In no matter which role we are, can we learn from people at the grassroots level, people who perform things, who find solutions, who often don't know that something cannot be done. And therefore, out of their naivety, sometimes they break new ground. And having walked through all the states, as I will discuss with you a little later, my confidence, my faith in the ingenuity of our people has been reinforced at least 4 times a year when I go for walk. So there are 4 pillars of sustainability. We're talking about leadership that can bring about sustainable outcomes, but that also sustained itself. So we are talking about sustainability in both roles. My motivation must be high enough that I can continue to learn. But at the same time, what I work upon, the challenges that I address, some solutions at least may be sustainable. Now, we all know that not everything should be sustainable. After all, those pathogens in our environment which cause infections, we don't want them to be sustained, do we? We want to clean our environment and get rid of them. So, obviously, sustainability is a double edged sword. We want to sustain certain practices, certain behaviors, certain activities, certain institutional arrangements, and at the same time, we want certain things not to be continued. And inertia is one of them. Now, this bridge that you are seeing here, we came across during our Shodh Yatra in Meghalaya, and we asked the people, why did you build a bridge of tree roots? Some of you might know that the community leader was honored with Padma Award this year for something that has gone on for centuries. And when we were in Cherrapunji district of Meghalaya and we crossed this bridge, we asked the people, they said, so we wanted to do something different, something sustainable, something that will not create load on the environment. Obviously, my mind being trained in the way we are, so I said, but there were wood available, cement available, wires available. No, sir, our goal was that it should be, they didn't use the word entropy, but they said low waste or no waste. but low entropy or no entropy. So what did you do then? So we looked around and we found that ficus species tree on two sides of the river had roots which looked like rope. Oh, that's technology. Yes. And the fact that bridge will require balancing and all of that, that was the scientific understanding we had in our own indigenous knowledge system. But we couldn't have pulled the ropes alone. So we needed a collective action. That is institutions, norms of collective behavior. And then they said, sir, if you look at this, a bridge takes about 50 years to make and it lasts for hundreds of years. And if the roots are blended, as you can see here, there are stones in between around which the roots grow. If a stone falls into the river, doesn't matter. If some root debris falls into the river, doesn't matter. So there is practically no waste. And everything is recyclable. Some become manure and some become stones can be brought back. So what do we learn? Science is like an alphabet. Technology is like words. Institutions are like grammar. And the culture is like thesaurus. Culture is the first culprit. As a leader, you can create your own culture in your own organization. People say, sir, culture is something which is going on. No, I don't agree with that. Within the team that you have, you can create new cultural norms of consultation, of collective action, of asking a young intern or a young staff who has just joined and who knows much more in cybersecurity than you do, and telling in front of everybody, will Mr. So and so, will you come and teach me something about cyber? And he says, well, collector is asking me, or regional forest officer is asking me to teach something new. And that looks embarrassing. But that is the beauty of the life, that we create culture where we show everybody publicly in a meeting that I don't know everything, that I still have to learn. And I'm willing to learn from a youngster, no matter how senior I am. So culture is variation. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. Institutions are like grammar, the organizing arrangement, the principle, and technology is like word and science is like alphabet. We will come back to that. So what are we going to do today? We are going to look at how do we generate passion, and how will this passion be trained, be tamed? You know, horses put blinkers. What is that blinker we will put? Purpose will make us move away from trivia. But I cannot achieve a purpose if I don't have a process in place. This is where we Indians goof up a lot. We make a lot of uh, goodness about the fact that in our marriage functions, everything falls into the place at the right moment. But that is a chaos at work. I mean, the intimacy of that occasion makes everybody forget their egos to the extent that they can and then converge. But that is not right way. I mean, if you had made a list, allocated responsibilities, and tried to provide enough decentralized leadership, a degree of freedom that they can take decisions on their own, if something is not working out, yes, you would have result, but maybe you would be ready a few hours before. And this is where we are little weak. We don't write down processes. We don't share them. We don't ask people to improve them. And our bias for standardization, as they will discuss it later, sometimes affects our performance. So, passion to achieve a purpose or multiple purposes through a process leads to performance through learning and sharing platforms. This is one theme I'll keep repeating through the discussion, because I believe that platforms are powerful mechanisms We know that internet, there are several platforms which we use for good or bad reason. That's a different matter. But at least these platforms converge multiple choices, multiple ideas, multiple passion of multiple people, and often bring to a common conclusion. So how do we do that? We want to talk about inclusive leadership and creative leadership, compassionate leadership, collaborative leadership. Now, there are 6 ways in which exclusion takes place. Spaces. We all know that certain regions are ignored, bypassed. I'll give you an example today of areas where our inertia is very strong. We had been into Gumla for Shodhyatra in the summer and last year. So we have witnessed, just as there are other regions like Jamshedpur, for example, which may have much greater, better infrastructure and so on. Sectors. So sectors where we have not done a great job. Khadi is one sector. I'm wearing Khadi, but I can tell you that we have not brought in a lot of changes in this sector. Or for that matter, forest produce, in situ processing of forest produce. I'll give you an example of Mahua today. But there are many such examples. So there are certain sectors which have been excluded. Seasons. The flood season is one, drought is another. When cyclones come, that is another time. So certain seasons, snowfall in the mountains, certain regions get cut. We are working in Gorej near Dras and Kargil. After October, it becomes very difficult to reach there. Social segments, we all know that I don't have to elaborate. Certain skills and knowledge also are not included. So very rarely do we ask people, okay, we are going to have a tree plantation program. Tell us which species and how would you grow them? What is the best way to grow them? Some will grow by graft, some will grow by seed, some will grow by seedling. There are different mechanisms. I don't mind my saying this, but it is useful, of course, to involve people. There is a farmer, Sundaram, who also got Padma Award. He's a very bold collaborator of Honeybee Network. He developed a technology of growing trees with the 1 liter water once. And just to explain to you why this knowledge, this kind of knowledge from ground up can be mobilized, we should include it in our programs. So what did he do? He said, if you plant trees in monsoon season, which is what 90% of people in our country do, the above surface will dry up fast, but that is wet in the monsoon. So where will tree seedlings send its root? Where the moisture is, in the upper surface. Upper surface after the rain will dry up. Seedlings will die. Survival rate will be 35% or more, less. But if you open a furrow or dig a pit where you want to grow trees, better furrows, I'll come to pit later, and then you first do laddering and planking of the ground where you want to grow trees, so that all the moisture that is there is subsumed under the ground. Then open a small pit, not a big pit, just enough for putting a seedling, 6 inch by 6 inch by 9 inches maybe, not 1 foot by 1 foot, because all the moisture will go away. So in October you plant the seedling. Now where is the moisture? Moisture is below the ground. Where will roots go? Where the moisture is. This seedling will catch the rain next year. Survival rate is 90%. Now this is an idea taking so long to reach a plantation ground. But it is possible. You can do an experiment and find out. Simple experiment. You plant some seedlings in monsoon. So skills and knowledge, both from the communities, can be harnessed. Structure of governance can also cause exclusion. We use the same norm, let us say, allocating village level worker or village health worker. A village which has 1,000 households will have one worker. A village which has low population density in the region, and therefore 25 households here and 25 few miles away, and then another 25 few miles away, still will have same worker. Now, one worker finds all the people to be served in one village, another worker has to go to 15 kilometers, square kilometer area covered. Is it fair? Who said that we should have the same norms disregarding the population density or infrastructural development? So this can also cause exclusion. If you use the same norms everywhere, even when the conditions are different, then it is designed exclusion. So what we do need to do, we need to bring such norms of governance which will be tailored to the condition. Now you might say, sir, in bureaucracy it is very difficult. It is difficult but not impossible. There are examples where people have made schools. We were doing a study way back when 13th Finance Commission, Dr. Kelkar, my dear friend, was chairman, and we were trying to set up a center for innovation in public systems at that time. So we did a study of innovations all over the state and asked them. This is about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. 2013, I think he was the chairperson, Fifth Finance Commission, whatever. And then we found that there was a district education officer who found that fishermen will go to the coastal areas for offshore fishing, and the children will also go with them. So what did he do? He made boat schools, and he said, in the daytime, let children come to my boat, where I'll teach them. In the evening, they go back to living boat. What a great idea! A school in a boat along with the fishing communities. That brought inclusion because the person wanted to solve the problem. So there can be no case where people who are excluded from our developmental processes cannot be included. There may be more reasons. Shall I stop here for a minute and let you raise some issues before I proceed further, so that I don't keep talking and you listening? That may not be very nice. So, any comments so far?
Good morning, sir. My name
Yes.
is Riti Raj.
Yeah.
Sir, here when you spoke about having the same norms for everywhere leads to designed exclusion, and we should aim to having area-specific norms and rules so that their needs are met. But uh, doesn't that become very officer-specific, sir? Like in the example which you mentioned, the DU, because he took the initiative, he was able to bring that result. And now, the day that DU gets transferred, another DU comes in. What incentive does he have to continue this? Or what incentive does he have to think of more such ideas to cater to that particular area, other than
Yes,
just their
this is.
personal willingness?
I agree with you. Okay. This is a genuine fear that things that we start beginning with the individual motivation may not become institutionalized, right? But tell me one thing. Earlier, maybe you were too young at that time, when we had to pay road tax every year for a car or a scooter. So there used to be long lines at the RTO office. A person who paid 5,000 rupees tax, a truck operator, and a person who paid 250 rupees, or even on cycle, we used to have tax long time ago. We had to stand in the same queue. Now, one transport commissioner said this doesn't seem fair. So he said, let us have 5 years tax from the small operators. So lines became very small. All two-wheelers, three-wheelers got uh, to pay 5 years. So for next year onward, you don't have much line. What has become now? Lifetime payment. It took time. But one initiative, I edited a journal called Administrative Innovation. Do you know LBSNA has a journal called Administrator? And I edited 1992 when my dear friend was director there, Uganda. father of Satya Nadella, the Microsoft fellow. He was at that time director of LBS, and he requested me, Anil, you have done so much work in other innovations. Why don't we edit a issue on administrative innovations? And I'm talking of 1992. This RTO had done it in 1992. It took us about 10 years, maybe 15 years. But after 15 years, the entire country can rest now and relax by paying road tax once in lifetime. So please, my suggestion is don't give up on this argument that if I do that now, will it be continued? Just leave that aside. I will do my best and I will try to persuade the next person to continue. But I know that not every big things will continue. That's fine. I am responsible and accountable to my own inner conscience that I cannot face exclusion. I cannot deal with exclusion. I will not let exclusion continue. But if something continues or does not continue, if I start thinking of that, then I will never take initiative. That is the remedy. That is the 100% solution for inertia. Don't you think that we will all become inactive because we can't ensure that everything we take up will continue? Don't you think so? So my suggestion is, yes, you are right. People may change, but this country has reformed a lot and is continuing to reform. And these reforms are not always started by a committee or by a think tank or by Niti Aayog. Many of the reforms, I'll give you another example. In Maharashtra, there was a teacher, and he found that the books for the primary school had examples which in some region those children may never have seen. So, for example, in a tribal area where there's no train, if there's a lesson on train, they wouldn't know what train is. So, what did he do? He added QR code on the textbook and gave it to his class, 40 textbooks. He pasted the QR code of a moving train or of a bird sanctuary or whatever it is. In each lesson, appropriate QR code. That became a policy. Isn't it nice? One teacher in one school of 40 children in one class does an experiment. Now, this is where I think we need to increase our hunger for such ideas. We need to look for such solutions. As I will repeatedly say, not all good ideas will come to my mind. One thing I've tried to do is to learn as much as I can from as many diverse examples as can, so that my faith in the human ingenuity never goes down. That's all I've done in my life. If somebody says, what are you good at? I'm good at learning. That's all I can say. And I think all of us can be good at learning. Because if we decide that every day I should find something which gives me a reason to live for next day, then these are the reasons that give me. Anybody else has any other comment before we proceed? Will you then? All right. So if there is no comment, I'll continue.
So one just
Yeah,
observation,
go on. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Anupama. So this is the beauty of life that we create, culture. So that's
Yeah.
something very interesting. And yeah, but the ecosystem that we live in, whether it is the political, the social, I mean, it also definitely affects, creation of that culture. So all these institutions which you said are like grammar contribute to the creation of that culture also, and we can be the agents of change in making that culture happen the way we want it to,
Anupama, what happens is, as a leader, my role is to insulate my team from the negative cultures. So I cannot change the world. I cannot make everybody conform to the norm that I believe in. Not possible. But what I can do is my team, my group, my network can follow norms that we create. For example, when we created GYAN in 1997, Gujarat Grassroots Innovation Augmentation Network, we said this was the first incubator of grassroots innovations, and in partnership with Gujarat government. And we said, look, no innovator will be called to office. You will deliver the services at their doorstep.
Mm.
And you go and meet them where they are. Don't call them that please come to office and we have to fill up some forms and all that. And they will not fill up any forms. You will fill up forms for them because they don't know what to fill up. So my question is that culture can be created. Yes, over a period of time, routinization will take place, some cultural erosion will take place. We have to reinvent. Why do we have rituals? We say good morning in the morning. We live together and still say good morning, isn't it? Because we remind ourselves that I wish you well today. Let's hope that we will have a great day today. So, some rituals are part of culture. These rituals can be periodic retreats. These can be some meetings outside the office. These can be some meetings. Once there was a group that asked us to help them to create innovative culture. So we said, all right, let's do something. So there were 5 different activities in which this group was involved. I said, who are the best performing communities? Which are the best performing communities in each vertical of yours? So they identified them. I said, we will have meeting for that vertical in that village because that will radiate, that will rub off to us. That excellence of that community will rub off to us. We will get inspired that these so many people together are creating such outstanding results. There is something that we need to learn. So we changed the culture of having all meetings in our office. Some meetings take place in the center of excellence, the hotspots of creativity, hotspots of inclusion, hotspot of performance. And you may say, sir, but it'll take a lot of effort to bring everybody. But that effort is worthwhile. That visit will charge them more than any motivational talk because they will absorb it. You don't have to tell anything for. They will have absorbed it. So I think creating culture requires effort. I agree. I
That is
agree
what
that
that is what my point was, that we need to do it. uh,
we
you
need
know
to do it.
we need
Yes,
to do it because we
we
need to
need to.
create that kind of if we
I
want a
agree.
better society, then
Yes.
the way the erosion of cultures are happening in many of the Asian economies, we are going down, and the education and all that, so we need to keep creating that. I mean, that I
So I
think
give you an example. Some students came to do internship with me, and that was COVID time. So I told one of all of them, I said, look, I want to give you an assignment. Will you have you ever talked to your housemaid or servant sitting across the table and learn from them? He said, no, sir, we never did that. So I said, this is the assignment. You will go and talk to your housemaid or servant or lift operator and learn something which you didn't know and share with me. That is the assignment. So one of the students asked the Rani was her maid. For 5 years, they had never had a conversation about this issue. Obviously, most of our houses, we don't have this conversation. But since it was an assignment, they had to submit a report. She did it. And she said, teach me something that my professor would appreciate. She said, all right, tell your professor that when you drink water, you should sit down. When you drink milk, you should stand up. Now, I had known the first part, drinking water, sit down, that my parents had told me. But about the milk part, I had seen in UP that people stand near the halwai shop and in cooler they drink the milk while standing. But it never occurred to me that there is a logic in it. That lady, that maid servant of that student, changed my perspective altogether. And I learned something so fundamental. Yes, there's a gut biome. Today, the biome is called as a second brain, and the fat lining in the biome helps the process, the desirable bacteria in our gut to grow better. And now this I didn't know. So I'm saying that one can create culture by small experiments. I'll give you one more example. 1977, after the emergency, modern bakery was come up, which had you used to make beverages and bread. So one day the general manager told the team that, look, we are getting a lot of complaints. Our bread is getting spoiled by the time it reaches the dealer, I mean the shopkeepers. And they held the branch manager of the operations responsible for it. So the operation manager said, but I'm doing everything right. So he had a meeting of his staff. He said, from tomorrow, each one of you on different days will come late. He said, what? Yes, you will come late. What would you do? You will stop at different bus stops on the way and find out what time the bread reached them. He did market research. He found that in the night, early morning, when they delivered the bread to the delivery people, the marketing people, they kept hot, moist bread in a vehicle which was closed from all sides. That gave rise to fungus. That was the reason for spoilage, not the manufacturing quality. He turned the table with this data. So what I'm saying is that was not the role, but he did it. He changed the role. He created a culture of learning among the team, which was supposed to be manufacturing team, not a marketing team, not a market research team. So I'm saying it is possible. It is possible to create culture. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it is difficult sometimes, but it is possible. And if we create enough flexibility and create some action research approach where I say, look, I don't know what the solution is, but if you all help us, we can find a solution to this problem. Would you try? And then instead of one mind, there are 25 minds thinking about it, and something comes up. So, Anupam, I will only say that, yes, you are right, absolutely right, that there is a strong cross currents of negativity and cynicism and all kinds of. I mean, cynicism is infectious, as you know. Optimism is not. We have to make an effort to make another person optimist. But for cynical person, one cynical person can make 100 people cynical, and that's a problem. That's I agree with you. That's a weakness of our culture. But we have to live in the same country. It's my country. I can't change it. I have to find solution within this country, isn't it? Anybody else before we proceed? All right. So let me know if you can see it. Let me also make it full screen. Is it full screen or not yet?
Not full screen, sir.
Okay, let me do that. I assume it is now?
No.
No, no.
No. Let's try again. This time it should work.
Full screen, sir. No.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll go further and we'll draw some lessons about different kinds of leadership models. And one of the lessons that I learned over the years is that leaders monitor the context, not so much the content. And this is a problem, chronic problem with our people. I mean, all around us, all around me, I see this. How many things you did, how many times you did that, this and that. Sometimes it may be necessary, but we need to look at the context in which things are happening. What is the condition in which certain things are being done? How do we monitor the context rather than content? Sometimes you have the content, but then you are not able to see the context in which this content has been created. So, how do we monitor the context? And the context means the overbearing conditions under which somebody is able to or not able to perform outstandingly. It can be team, it can be individual. And if we don't take interest in the context, we lose trust, we lose respect. But you're not interested in the problem that I'm facing. Advise me how I overcome that. Or give me an example where somebody has overcome. I will learn from that person. Or tell me who should I visit to learn from about this problem, solving the problem. So therefore, it is important that we look at the context in which things have happened. So, any of you must have seen this picture. Do you recall where I have taken this picture from? Anybody? It was used by the government of India. I will not mention which ministry, because then you will figure it out. But just think for a minute, where could it have been used by government of India? Any guess? Anybody? You can use any
Ministry of
guess.
Ministry of Environment.
No. I can give a clue. Then, of course, you will figure it out. But tell me which context it was used. It was used to attract the tourist. Can you guess now? Which campaign was it part of?
Incredible India.
Incredible India. Now, India is indeed incredible if it can show the agony of a lady walking on sand dunes, carrying water on her head for miles together, to bring this picture to evoke the beauty of sand dune and take away your attention from the pain of the lady. Only India can do that. And this is sad. How can we be so insensitive that we can convert the agony of the people, common people, and say, please, tourist, come and see the shame of my country? Is this the way we attract tourists? But this was part of Incredible India campaign. I'm trying to show you, because we didn't look at the context properly, that's why this mistake happened. Somebody thought it is a beautiful photograph. It is a beautiful photograph or it's a painful photograph. That is for you to decide. It's up to you. Our aesthetics can affect our sensitivity, our samvedana. Samvedana is a beautiful word in many languages of India. Some means equal, Vedana means pain. When you feel the pain of someone as intensely as that person feels it, it becomes your pain. Now I am trying to reduce my pain. So the pain of this lady, if I had been seen by the photographer or by the designer or by the campaign manager as the pain of himself, he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do this. And I'll show you some example where people have changed when they came across problems of this kind. So some Vedana, when you internalize the pain of others as your own pain, then there is a motivation called as Swantah Sukhai, for your own happiness, not because somebody has given you a task, not because you are going to be rewarded for it, not because this is the one of the key result area of my company or my organization, because you think that's the right thing to do. So संवेदना से सृजनशीलता के लिए leaders will use स्वांतः सुखाय. I am doing it for my own happiness. I don't care what others do. And that becomes very important. So how do we monitor the context? Which duck do you think is my favorite? Now that you know my bias.
The one going on the opposite direction.
The one who is going in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah.
This one. Indeed. Because she didn't look for affirmation from these four ducks. Can I go there? She didn't care where they were going. She didn't need their approval. She charted her own path. This photograph was taken by my colleague, Dr. Anamika Dev, in Thor Lake, and I find it so telling. I mean, this such a beautiful way of explaining the point that we should look for ducks of this kind, oddballs, people who can see things from a different angle than what all of us are used to, and listen to them. Give them some time to explain why did they do something which was very different from what convention was. And you begin to see the beauty of creative expressions, creative thoughts, soulful thoughts, the samvedansheel thoughts, and that helps drive the change. So seeking affirmation too often from too many creates inertia. If she had asked all the four ducks, can I go? She would not have tried. You might say, sir, but we are part of a bid system where we have to take approvals and all. Correct. But there's not everything that needs an approval. And of course, if you do something and results are good, you can get a post factory approval also. If it doesn't work, keep quiet. Move on to the next experiment. We don't have to broadcast all our failures, but it's all right. If somebody wants, I can tell you that, look, I tried this, it didn't work out. That's fine. That's fine. So seeking affirmation too often today in the age of social media, the likes and so on has changed the temperament of a lot of people. If you not many people are liking what you have said, you feel lonely, you feel neglected, you feel that you have not been valued properly. But that's not true. Maybe the people didn't understand. They're not yet there where you are already reached. You have already reached. So it's okay. Doesn't matter how many people do you. If one person who can bring about change has noticed what you're saying. I'll give you an example. Today morning, I posted a news of Maharashtra government where they are trying to set up incubators in ITIs and colleges at taluka level, which is a great idea. So I posted and marked the chief minister and other people on the in the Twitter that or X that please don't open incubators only in academic colleges. I didn't say too much about why, but I'm hoping that they will understand. But also involve industries. You can have an incubator in a ceramic industry for ceramic, or you can have an incubator in a much automotive parts, and so on and so forth, or even for general machines in NGOs, in hospital. If you want healthcare innovations, let the incubator be near the place where the person can test his ideas. Today, one of the major challenges that startups feel is where do they test their ideas? They don't get the test beds. Now, I don't know whether they will read my tweet. I don't know whether they will change their views. I did my job. So please, we should not insist that I will share my ideas only if somebody accepts it. Well, that's part of life. You say you fly 100 kites, one will reach the destination, others may not. Doesn't matter. That's what I must do my job because if I think I can improve something, I'll contribute. Others may listen, may not listen, doesn't matter to me. What are we telling our children? That you will become the great assemblers of the world, not creator of the world. How sad. But that's the reality of our life. We are doing that. Someday it will change, I can tell you that. Someday it will change. Now, each leader has the same sky.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to add something, my
Please go
experience
ahead.
here.
Please go ahead.
Sir, currently I'm posted as Regional Chief Conservator in Singhbhum.
Mm-hmm.
So, wherein we have Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary also. So, at present in Jharkhand Forest Department, we have a huge vacancy of the frontline staff.
Mm-hmm.
So, most of the range forest officers and the ACF and the foresters are not in place. So, we have actually do the work directly with the sub-beat officer, that is a forest guard. So
Mm.
generally, like if you see the designations, like generally the higher officers don't have direct contact with the
Correct.
frontline staff. So it's my experience that when I visited a few times in Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary, I met one forest guard. His name is Mr. Raja Ghosh. So he's an excellent botanist, but
Mm-hmm.
was never recognized by many people. So, and he used to take pictures using his mobile phone, and he used to send it, sir. And he used to identify new species also sometimes.
Wow.
So,
Wonderful.
so when I came to know about him, so I started talking to him personally through the WhatsApp and encouraged. And we could recently give him one good camera to take the pictures. And so because of that small intervention, sir, he could publish so many papers in the journals. It is his
Wow.
effort. I would Sir, I empathize with what you could say with here, because our small talk sometimes, okay, you are doing good, please do it, if you have any doubt, contact us. So such kind of interventions can really create a magic. So right now in Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary, so the elephants are not coming. There are so many problems. Actually, it is an elephant sanctuary, but
Hmm.
natural path is somehow it is inhibited because of various developmental activities and interstate problems. So
Correct.
we are now think like we have so many, like we are seeing so many aspects, then we are thinking whether maybe some changes in the habitat also might have happened. So now we along with Mr. Raja Ghosh, we are trying to identify all the forage species which were yesteryears it was present, whether it is now in the sanctuary area or not. We are trying to come up with a book with the help of Mr. Raja Ghosh, and he's doing excellently well, sir. So this is what
I tell you, this is such a
details.
the music to my ear. I would like to meet him someday because we are doing something with Jharkhand government on grassroots internship, innovation internship scheme where 4,000 students every year will go to different gram panchayat in group of four. So Jharkhand government has allocated about 37 crores for this scheme. I was chairing the committee, and they are going to map the knowledge, resources, unmet needs of all villages of Jharkhand. So I do come once in a while to Janchi, and this
Yes, sir.
is
Please come, sir,
I would
because
like to
all
meet
IT
him.
case, yes, sir. All indigenous tradition knowledge he used to share with us, sir.
No, but
Some
why don't you create a small page on the website of your department, which you make him the administrator, so that the whole country comes to know of it. I mean, this is an example which must go to everybody in the world that there are people who have the skill and knowledge. Given a small platform, their knowledge will fertilize. Even the other botanists in the universities will feel embarrassed that they didn't do this job, and they might come and say, okay, our students are coming to intern with you, can you please take them? And he might get a whole force of young people working with him rather than working alone. And I will strongly recommend that a lot of students should go and do internship with him. Students of botany, students of medicinal chemistry, students of environment, students of ecology. So I think there is a way in which we should elevate this. I mean, you gave a camera,
in
that's
fact, sir, I
wonderful.
am learning from him, sir. I am also learning from him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, no,
it's
that's a
actually a
great
good
thing, and you should,
experience.
you should, you should post some comment or like that. That look, I learned so much. I didn't know this species so far, but then Raja told me that this is the habitat, this is the ecosystem, this is the community ecology where there's a habit, there are some species grow in a cluster of other species, they because of the different degrees of different depth of root and all of that. So he might know that, and he might not tell us why this species has evolved here, not other places. So please do share his details, and I will also like to share that. It is such a wonderful idea, and I would request all participants in the class to share that on their social media because such people deserve recognition. If 14 of us do that, I mean, our followers might, some of them might repost that. And Raja Ghosh will feel valued that, look, his work, after all, is being recognized by peers and by the colleagues, by the common people. Doesn't matter. It's not the award that motivates us, it is the recognition more than the award. And I think what you have done is wonderful. But incidentally, one small point that you mentioned about elephants, but have you looked at the corridors? Because you know that many corridors have been disturbed. Recently, I think in Rajasthan, they tried an idea where they made a kind of a bridge on the road,
The
long about 100 kilometers, how many, where they grew trees. So now the elephants can cross
That is
the
on the
road.
social media. That's to
I saw that,
small
yes.
pictures. Yeah, yeah.
Look, that beautiful idea. I mean, that was a great idea. So my feeling is that apart from the species, because elephants can be very, they are a large herbivore, so therefore they would not. I mean, well, few species might not deter them, but the corridor might certainly be a problem, and you might look into that if you have not looked at. But you might, of course, you know it. So
We are conducting studies of the Dalapane-Kakrador corridor, which is actually connecting West Bengal and Jharkhand. So there is actually an expert committee coming, and we have already done some work, sir. Now there will be a joint inspection. There will be
correct.
experts from
Because West Bengal
WIA.
has a big problem of elephants damaging the houses in the
Sir, in
hot.
Jharkhand also, sir,
Uh,
we have huge problems here also. Yes, sir.
very nice, Smita. This was very redeeming
Sir,
listening to you. Yeah.
I'll just want to pitch in here to just to second what Smita madam mentioned. So courtesy her and I think Abu sir, we took the participants when they were on campus in January for a day-long trip to Dalma, where again
Okay.
Mr. Raja was there to accompany us, guide us there. Later, I went next week also along with my family there, and I think from there, the discussion which Professor Raghuram Tata, who you met, Professor Vinayak Tripathi, and I,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
had this discussion that maybe along the lines of Shodhyatra course, we can have a
Yes.
course here for XLI for exposing our students 3-day course in a forest, exposing to human-animal conflict, nature-based ecosystems, the land animal, the climate change issue, and how it affects at ground, then the value of ecosystem. Let's say a
Correct.
lot of
Correct.
infrastructure
Correct.
projects are being carried out in Jharkhand, and a lot of issues are coming up in that how do we value this, the IRR, NPV, and all of that. So I think we were planning for that.
Kalyan, you should not forget to bring ecological economics into the picture because the difference between resource economics, environmental economics, and the neoclassical and the ecological economics is that the integrity of the ecosystem is kept at the center, and then you see what you can do as against what you do, and then look at the impact on the environment. So this is something which will be very refreshing for the students, even from the hardcore curricular point of view, that if you have to keep the integrity, then you will design things differently and you will calculate your rate of return differently. So sometimes you need to have longer time frame and lesser discount rate to permit slow growing species. Show them that if you grow take high growing fast growing species, you can get high rate of return, high discount rate. In shorter period of time, you will recover your money. But those species would not enrich the ecosystem like eucalyptus will not enrich. But if you grow tamarind, which takes 60 years, or sagwan, they grow slowly, but then they allow other species to also come with them. And that's how the diversity becomes much more richer and may get more services from the ecosystem. So I think this kind of course can also fertilize the other courses in the institute, which sometimes are neglected, because people teach only one kind of economics, but there are, as you know, other schools of thought. Thank you
No,
so much. That's a
no.
wonderful idea. I'm happy that you did that.
Next time you're coming to Ranchi or Jharkhand anywhere, sir, I'll find a way for you to come here, and Smita ji, with courtesy of her, will
Certainly,
put that
certainly.
and
My pleasure.
we'll together.
Certainly, certainly.
Sir, I have already documented Smita's story as one of the leadership case study to be taught in the leadership module anywhere in the class.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can completely empathize and appreciate what you are saying because this is the kind of thing we need to have. And this humility, the willingness to admit that I learned. When a senior officer tells this to a junior most officer that I learned something from you, this gives a message to all the people down the line that they all can learn too. And how can I assume that I will know everything? I mean, that person spent day and night there, so he obviously knows much more about that ecosystem than I can do. I just visit occasionally. So I think this is a good thought to highlight even the humility that people at the ground have a lot of information because they are close to the ground. This is called in European system, they call it subsidiarity principle. Subsidiarity principle means that you should take decisions as close to the ground as possible, then the quality of decision making goes up. But if you take decisions at the headquarter level or the regional, ecosystem, forest level, and so on, you don't have that much information as the people close to the ground have. So they have built in the EU system a subsidiarity principle that whenever they try to decide a decision-making system in a project, they will say whether it meets the subsidiarity principle. That means whether the people closer to the ground have been empowered to take decisions or not. Otherwise, they will not serve the society at large. So it is a good lesson, even institutionally, conceptually, to bring the subsidiarity principle in our system. All right, let's proceed further. And Let me see. This should work. Yes. Let me. Is it full screen?
जी सर.
So एक बात यहाँ पर आई एम गोइंग टू से समथिंग. You all have heard about. मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में बोल लूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Absolutely, sir, no issues.
तो क्या है कि हम सब ने जिंदगी में ध्रुव तारे के बारे में सुना है, और ध्रुव तारा एक ही दिशा दिखाता है. तो क्या हुआ, आई एम गोइंग टू शेयर समथिंग विच इज well historical truth, so I don't care whether I'm violating any norms of confidentiality. But there was a committee set up a long time ago for incentives for faculty. And I gave a note of dissent in that committee, where faculty was almost determined to provide monetary rewards to people to publish papers in good journals. So I said that means our salary is given for publishing in poor journals, because for good journals you must get extra reward. I was not in favor of that. I said instead, ask everybody what is their North Star, what is that one thing they want to impact in their life, and let them then seek support for achieving that reaching that North Star. So I would say that leaders will find out that not everybody can be good in everything, but letting people find out their own North Star helps in differentiating the support system for different people. So when Smita gave a camera to this Raja course, somebody else might need a laser or an infrared sensor to find out the movement of the wildlife in the night, because that person wants to monitor which animals are coming in on. Now, that person may not need a visible light camera, he may need an infrared sensor or infrared camera, which can then tell him the moving life, and he can collect some data and then look at the movements behind the bushes, behind the trees. This infrared can do that even in the invisible range. Now, that would mean differentiating the allocation of scarce resources or uh, incentives, so to say, in line with the North Star of people. So, our own North Star and the North Star of the people whom we are leading could not converge all the time, and that's fine. Different people are looking for different things in their life. But it is helpful if they can help people fulfill their potential. They will do the line job in any case, but they will do something more. And that is what the beauty of this is. Now, this is what I began with, and I like to reinforce the day I'm not surprised, I have not learned, I have just existed. So, surprise is, as I said, is a necessary condition. There must be something I didn't know which I am come to know today. And this will be very useful metric for measuring my own learning hunger, my own appetite for new ideas, for my own appetite to meet people from whom I can learn something different. Now, this is an interesting model of leadership. I was with our students in Kangra, Himachal Pradesh, and I came across this tree. So I asked this tree, what happened? Speaking metaphorically, the tree said, look, I was not supposed to branch, but I did. Then what did you do? I made it into a parallel stem. As I'm talking to you, some cells in my body are going through mutation. What is my body doing? It is either bypassing them, repairing them, regenerating them, or making the other cells compensate for the mutated cell, or suppressing them. This is called autopoiesis, cell-designed, cell-governed system. This means you have a knife, let us say, example, it becomes sharper every time you cut the vegetables or fruits with it, or wood with it. How do we do that? That requires that every team member must find reasons to learn and grow in the field in which they want to. Not everybody wants to be a scholar. Not everybody wants to be a professor or, for that matter, a publisher. But when I learned that he has published so many articles, beat God, publishing articles in journals is a great, great idea. So he is self-designed, self-start. Nobody has told him to do that. He's doing it. And there are such people. There are Raja Ghosh in every organization, in every region, in every department, in every sector. There are enough Raja Ghosh of this in this country, and yet there are so few that we are noticing. So the idea is to look for such people who are self-driven, who don't need external motivation. Their motivation is intrinsic, not extrinsic. They're not waiting for you to give a pat on the back for them to do more. They are doing it. You care about it, thank you. You don't care about it, doesn't matter. It doesn't deteriorate their motivation level even the slightest bit. I agree, there are fewer such people, but they are gems. They are rare. They are precious, and we should not lose them. So keep looking for such people. There was a teacher. There was a block education officer. We were at a Shodhyatra in Barpali, Bargar in Odisha, and we were talking about just odd people, people who are trying to do great job for such a society in the system. So then somebody said, "Why don't you meet that person?" So we met that person. He had been transferred 4 times in the last 2 years, but he wouldn't give up. What would he do? He introduced us to 11 teachers out of maybe a few hundred that he was responsible for. These teachers during summer vacation would not go to their home place, native place. Instead, will conduct classes for the weak students so that they can cope up with the next class in which they will join after summer. Can you imagine? And we had the opportunity to, put a shawl around the shoulders of those teachers, some of them whom we met in the village. What a great job! What a great job! Who will do that? Why wouldn't summer vacation be used for my being with my parents or my friends or my kith and kin, or for sightseeing or for tourism or whatever I want to do? But so much motivation that look, these kids won't be able to make up. If the next year they are continuing with their weakness, they will get left behind, they will drop out. Let's try to break up their deficiency by staying in the summer and teaching them. And he succeeded in doing that. And other people complained about him. He didn't care about it. Bolo, you send me wherever else you can. I will do that. I will find people who are willing to listen to me and help the kids. So that the such kind of leadership, which is self-driven, which is not contingent on external incentives or external recognition, has to be is the most precious asset of our society, and we need to leverage it. And my hope is that each one of you would have found somebody like that. And whenever you want to share that, please stop me, and I will be very happy to listen to those stories, because those will make my day. I mean, if I meet more rajas of the country, of the world, so much the better. Another thing that leaders do is they don't wait for all the information. The best should not become any more better. The imperfect beginning lies at the heart of change agents. They begin to bring about change with imperfect information, with inadequate information. They assume few things, they supplement it with the information they have, and they take action. Sometimes they are proved wrong, and they admit their mistake. Well, I thought it will be like that, but it didn't work out. Doesn't matter, let's try something else. And the result is, when they admit their failure, the people at the lower level also admit their failure. They don't mask it. Today, you know that there is hardly any incentive to share my failure with you or with my superiors, because there is a censor of that kind of behavior. Why did you not follow rules? If rules could bring about change, then where is the case for pioneers? Where is the case for action researchers? So the idea that there are good policies and bad implementation is a meaningless point and doesn't deserve attention. Sometimes the concept, this was a girl whom we gave an award, and she said, when my pets get stressed, I want to design a system which will tell me that they are stressed and I can spend more time with them. Because when I get busy in my studies, sometimes they feel neglected. And I was giving a talk to the Cisco people, they are the biggest company in the world for routers. And I said, you are working out on Internet of Things. Why don't you move to Internet of Things, thought and feeling then? So, for example, you have your grandparents and they're living separately. If they have a small device, so that if they fall down, you immediately are alerted. You call somebody who's nearby. Please go and look it up. My father, my grandfather, or my mother seems to have fallen down. Please try to take care. I will also catch up quickly. Or things of this kind. Anything. It could be positive, negative, whatever. But why doesn't our mind not work in that direction? Though we love them a lot, because we are constrained by the limits of the tools that we have. So we should never let the limits of the tools we have today become the enemy or the constraining factor for my imagination for future. And I'll show you many examples later on, which you will see that all these kids or other innovators did not let available solution become the definer of bounded rationality. They didn't allow them to constrain their imagination. That's why these people could come out with innovations. A change not monitored is a change not desired. And I'll come to a very important change, which you will notice is something that we have neglected. And that is what I called as download to upload ratio, or put it inverse, upload to download ratio. Is there anyone in the class today whose upload to download ratio is more than 1? Anybody? That means you share more than what you download. Is there anybody? I would welcome. I will be happy to know. नहीं है कोई? We download in GB, we upload sometime in MB, megabytes, और कभी-कभी तो share भी नहीं करते.
I'm a teacher. I keep doing that at times.
नहीं, but do you create public knowledge goods? That's the point.
A woman
I
class
mean,
में होता है.
are your whether the assignments of the students are available on the net, on your blog or your site, are your own thoughts, your own notes, your own ideas, or your own slide available on the system for people to access? If it is, I salute to you, because even the teachers are very possessive about their content. अरे कोई और कॉपी कर लेगा तो अरे कॉपी तो उसी चीज की होती है जो अच्छी होती है. चोरी तो उसी की होती है ना जो कीमती होती है चीज. बेकार की चीज को कौन चोरी करता है? करने दो ना यार. All my work, all my papers, hundreds of them, 500 of them, are all copyright free. I don't care. जिसको जो करना है करो. अच्छी चीज होगी तो काम आएगी ना तुम्हारे. बात बढ़ेगी आगे. बात बढ़नी चाहिए. मैं बढ़ूं आगे नहीं बढ़ूं उसका फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. बात आगे जानी चाहिए. अगर अच्छी बात है तो बात आगे जाएगी. Otherwise, if we attach ourselves to our ideas and then feel that everybody should acknowledge this idea only because it has come from me, that will not help ideas grow. I should dissociate sometime and have the large-heartedness. Idea is important है व्यक्ति नहीं. There is a small digression. I will give you 4 steps that often I share with my colleagues. व्यक्ति, विचार, व्यवहार और संस्कार. 90% of our time I'm talking about people, व्यक्ति. Very little time for vichar. Much lesser to bring that vichar into vyavhar. And then when that vyavhar becomes sanskar, which means the default condition, I don't have to think twice, that will happen what is in my default condition. That's the way I believe, that's the way I live. Then we reach a different level of our actualization, our potential realization. So my request to all of you is that do share thoughts, ideas, experimental results, encounters with some people, something that you feel might be useful to create a positive energy in the system, or for that matter, will make your own fallibility apparent to others. आज मेरे से गलती हुई है, I couldn't recognize, and that will help you to spread the word around. Let me give you an example. Some of you must have heard about this Bhimbetka caves in Madhya Pradesh around 25, 30 years ago, 30 or 30,000 years ago, sorry, 30 to 40,000 years. Now, here is the teacher who says, if you want to make a human figure, make a cross first. Then close the cross like this. Then add hands or legs. I'm getting the lesson as he must have taught to his disciple 25 or 30,000 years ago, exactly as he must have taught. This is the power of sharing. That teacher who was teaching his disciples about human figure has created a pedagogic tool, step by step, that today I'm able to see that lesson. So my argument is that sharing is in our genes. We are meant to share. That's how civilization grows. That's how the culture creates. Shared belief is what culture is all about. And why do we stint so much in sharing? I don't know. But this is something that we need to think about. Sharing mistakes, sharing learning, sharing good encounters helps. In any case, good ideas are like birds. They don't stay in the nest in which they are hatched, young ones, for too long. They just fly away, leaving the nest behind. And next year, they build again another nest for their young ones. So good ideas need fertile ground. It is not necessary that a good idea which I have will grow in my hand only. In fact, some other person can take it forward much better than I do. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Should we take a break after this example? What is the time? We should.
Yes, sir. We
Yeah,
can
should
take a
take
break, sir, after this.
So I'll just mention this example and then we'll have a break. We met Ram Tamari Devi in Champaran Shodh Yatra. And among in about covering about 120 and odd kilometers, we found this grain bin built outside the hut. So beautiful. So we talked to her and said, why did you build such a grain bin? She thought she had done a mistake. She said, but that's all I know. My God, there is a person who can't do a mediocre job. No one else in the entire stretch had made such a beautiful thing. And she felt as if, because she thought, this is the only thing I know. Now imagine people who are challenged that they can't do a mediocre job. What a great society it will become. I mean, if we become handicapped in doing a mediocre job, I will not teach something, I will not write a paper when I'm not happy. One of the paper of Anamika was revised 16 times. And I said, look, sorry, but I couldn't have all the ideas at first time. I had to interactively, I had to tell you how the things to improve. So it happens. But we have to decide what can we learn from humility of Ram Tamari Devi. She touched my heart like nobody else can. And I will stop here and we'll come back after a break. So we will meet at how much time? 11:30 or 11:30?
11:30. 11:30 is good, sir.
All right. Okay. Pankaj, you were saying something you want to say now? Could you go ahead?
Yeah, sir, I had some doubts. तो ब्रेक के बाद मैं चला
ब्रेक के बाद आ जाए. ठीक है. All right. We'll talk about it.
The slide that you mentioned, that how much you download and upload, what is
Yeah.
the ratio? So
Pankaj, what do you do?
yeah, sir. I work in a think tank.
Okay.
Helping.
Now the question is that any group thinking group, thought group, any network, has a lot of ideas, some of which are half-baked, right? When you're not sure that that is the position you will take, but at this moment, that seems to be the reasonable position. So what do? You articulate it as a hypothesis or as a thought that you are not sure about, but you would be happy to hear from others if they have any different take on that problem. Sometimes it leads to what is called as crowdsourcing. But sometimes there may be no response. There is a complete silence. People just ignore it. The point is that if you share more than you download, three things happen. One, strangers come in your life, people who you didn't know, people who you think may not have interest. Suddenly you find that they're taking interest. So every week, if I don't get a mail from a stranger, I think, oh my God, this word has forgotten me. I mean, I've shared so much. How is it possible? So that is one criteria I use, that every week, if not every day, I must get a mail from a stranger who has read something that I wrote or shared recently or in past, and who has something to say. Second thing that sharing does is it allows you to test your ideas before they are fixed. In other words, when your ideas are still in the melting pot, you need to know, am I in the right direction? And somebody can then probably correct you. Third is that as a leader, would you rather wish that others follow what you do, or you will always be following what others do? I mean, we are so biased toward Western opinion, Western ideas, Western models that we sometimes undermine our own potential. We undervalue our own ideas. And Japan didn't care about it. China didn't care about it. So they are ruling the world, but not we. So sharing gives you leadership potential. If there's a possibility that your ideas might change the world and may change the way things are done. And therefore, you will have followers. Sharing, sharing helps you to so sharing is a very powerful tool. It helps us to take lead, be known for what we are. Of course, sometimes it is risky, but that's a risk I take. Any social entrepreneur has to take a risk. Any leader has to take a risk. Even in public policy, government does draft policies to be shared. Many times it shares or comments. But I would wish they have different stages of consultation, not just the final draft. But in between, when ideas are evolving, they keep sharing and invite comments from people. So that ideas keep on getting refined as they move. So an iterative process of policymaking, where instead of taking one position and then sharing, you start getting feedback from people on different building blocks of that policy. So this is how I think that high upload to download ratio can make us leader, can bring strangers in our life, can get us feedback. Does it make sense, Pankaj?
Yes, sir. My another question is, sir, uh, with like there is an idea and there must be some person inventing or innovating that particular idea and other set of person doing implementation and scaling it to the next level. So which set of people are more important?
No, 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 no. We don't have to make a trade-off between the two. They are two different skills, and we need both of them. One without another will not work. If you have good idea and no execution capability, it wouldn't go very far. But if you have execution capability and no good idea, then also you would not go very far. So we need people who can create new ideas, people who can implement those ideas, people who can refine those ideas, and people who can scale those ideas. All the four are different kinds of people. And that's why when we build a team, we should look for the creative potential. For example, in bureaucracy, in every office, they have somebody who's called bandobast. That means person who does logistics. So कोई गेस्ट आ रहा है, कोई चीफ गेस्ट आ रहा है, कोई फंक्शन है, तो दैट पर्सन इज सेड कि भाई यू टेक केयर ऑफ द एंटायर टास्क, टीम बना लो और कर लो, तो वो हो जाता है काम, बिकॉज दैट फेलो इज गुड इन लॉजिस्टिक्स मैनेजमेंट. नाउ somebody who's good in logistics may not have, maybe not be good in the generating new ideas, quite possible. Then somebody who generates a lot of ideas but has no capability to execute, he's very poor in implementation because he get bored very easily. Many times ideators get bored easily because they don't they expect new ideas keep coming. So you have to curtail their frequency of ideas, because you say, all right, let me first implement this idea and then we will get the next version. So uh, there are people who keep on making version 1, 2, 3, 4, and those startups never scale unless you freeze version 1 or 2 and then let it go, and then after some time come to the version 3 or version 4. That is the way to go. But in our country, people will spend 10 years in improving a draft, improving a prototype, and then they don't reach anywhere. They get frustrated, they become cynical when nobody is picking up their idea, but they don't realize that they should have had a version which is frugal but robust, but does not achieve all goals, but achieves some goals very well. Consumers are willing to accept that. I mean, why would there be so many models of phone otherwise? Tell me, such a differentiated market, and consumers are able to pick up what they want. Whereas, same is in automobile, or you take watches, or you take any other sector. If one product could meet everybody's need, that's very rare. So we need to differentiate and not expect that one solution will fit everybody's need. So we need to allocate this responsibility differently. Anybody else? All right, so we will move. We were on Ram Kumari Devi. Let me see. Is it a full screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will go to the next example. This is also from Purulia, West Bengal. And we had during the Shodhyatra same year. Sorry, earlier was from Champaran. This is from West Bengal. So we came across in this village terracotta horses. Jharkhand also has such traditions. So we asked, this was the village of the potters. So we asked them, why did you keep such beautiful horses under a tree? Somebody can break it, somebody can take it. By the time they knew that I'm a professor, they said, Professor, you've done a mistake. I said, what mistake have I done? They said, do you see this parapet? There is a passage here. Yes. We haven't kept the most beautiful ones. We have kept our best ones. Why would you keep a best one under a tree? When our children go to school every day, they should know what the current standard of the best is in the village. They must do better. Oh my God. No book on management or paper had taught me that open source standards of excellence can be a spur for increasing widespread creativity. I thought that was an amazing idea. That children must know what the adults' best is and they must do better. So, open source standards of excellence can be great motivators. I don't find in district collectorates or in various offices a gallery of outstanding achievers. So much so that I went to a plant, steel plant, at the request of the founder, huge plant, 80,000 crore, biggest plant in the country. I mean, total turnover is 80,000 crore of that company. And I was looking at the walls of the uh, manufacturing halls, workshops, and I didn't find any photograph of a worker who had brought about a lot of saving in energy or whatever. And I said, well, how come that? Do you think there is no worker in your company which has given an idea that is worthwhile? No, sir, there are. I said, then why don't you celebrate that? And this is not just this company. There was another company for which we were doing a program on intellectual property right. It was a chemical company. They had a plant in Gujarat also. So I said, look, it's very easy for us to do a program for a day for your executives, but I would like to have some content from your own company. So do you have a file where various innovations that have been tried in your company you could share with me? They said, we don't have such a file. So I said, then tell me, ask some retired general manager of a plant, and we talk to them. So they called a general manager from Chennai, and he was flown to Ahmedabad. So we interviewed him. And he said, if there's a salt plant and there is a salt used to come out from the tube, from the pipe. And one worker said, sir, why can't you put a kind of a blade inside, like a centrifuge kind of a one, which will grade the salt into the, as you know, in a pond, on the edge of the pond there is sand, then there is silt, and at the bottom there is a clay. So physics, very simple physics, the finest particle go the farthest. A kind of a screw was put inside the delivery pipe, and now salt got graded, which used to cost a lot of money to them earlier. I said, that's a great idea. Why don't you put that on your table, on your wall? We thought just it's a good idea. We implemented it and then moved on. That is the problem. Once I was at the Civil Service Award Day in Vigyan Bhavan many, many years ago, and I asked the same question. There were about 80 different departmental heads there of some ministries, central government. And I said, do you have a file of at least 10 good ideas that your ministry got last year? And nobody had. Nobody may still have. But that's pity. That's really a pity. That if we didn't have ideas, I would understand, okay, we are not so creative. But we have ideas and we are refusing to learn from them. What do I do with such a culture? So my strong appeal to all of you is, no matter which level and which system you are in, once in a while, encourage people to share their ideas. Maybe there are 8 verticals or 10 verticals, mention them. In any of the vertical, if you have any idea that can improve our performance, take us closer to our goal, please share. And we will give a fair trial to those ideas that are selected. And you will be recognized for that. So this could happen. This is also from Purulia. So this wall, we couldn't walk further. We couldn't help pausing there when we saw this wall. You will agree it's a beautiful wall. I have not seen such a wall in 7,000 kilometers that I have walked around the country, from Andaman to Garesh to every state. Such a beautiful wall. And this lady sitting here, and there were hardly any durables in her house. And then I realized, my God, if she had heard about Maslow, she wouldn't have done it, because she still had enough, did not have enough to make her physical needs met. How wrong Maslow was, if you have heard the hierarchy of needs that Maslow articulated. And In our country, there are people like Kabir, Rahim, Bhabi Mahato, who could achieve excellence even without meeting their basic needs, or Ram Tamari Devi for that matter. So please try to build upon new concepts, new ideas, even if they have not been, even if they are contradictory to the major theories in this world. How does it matter? If Kabir, a jeweler, a weaver, can give us बड़े हुए तो क्या हुए जैसे पेड़ खजूर पंथी को छाया नहीं फल लगे अति दूर. What kind of greatness it is if it doesn't give even a shade to somebody else? In two lines, he summarizes the wisdom of life. कपड़ा बुनता था जीता था. मैस्लो तो इजाजत नहीं देता उसको इतनी बड़ी बात कहने की, पर कही उसने ना. So my appeal to all of you is that we should not be overawed by the notions that unfortunately in many of the academic institutions are taught even now, without caring whether they are valid in the realities of our life. So please question. I'll give you another example. So this is a metaphor, but a beautiful one, because you know that we sit on chair. I'm sitting at the moment on the chair, and we spend a lot of time on chair, said to be invented by China in first AD. But in Japan, if you go to a tea house, you sit on the mat and take tea in a either Vajrasana or squatting position. Japan has not changed. We have changed. Now let me give you the science of it. The evidence shows that long uninterrupted period of sitting in a chair, even over 30 minutes, and I've been sitting for more than an hour and a half, increases risk for metabolic issues and cancer. While chairs offer back support, they cause hip stiffness. Ground sitting builds core strength and help flexibility through slumping on the floor, heavily compresses the spinal disc. So you know why we have so much problem of slip disc. And this is a paper 2023, published in Bioengineering from Switzerland, reputed journal. So many times we give up our valid traditions, scientifically valid. Not all traditions are valid. Some are. And those which are, we should be willing to accept it. Change the structures if possible. So leadership is to ask questions about constituents which have no vote and voice. And this is something I really wish you to take few moments to reflect. Nature and the perfect strangers. Who are the perfect stranger? Anybody? Perfect stranger. Unknown and not unknowable.
About whom we are not carrying any baggage also.
Who is that? Can you give me some example? Who is perfect stranger? Who is a perfect stranger?
For me, it is always these students, the newcomers who come. But yeah, I have certain knowledge about their previous this thing.
Perfect strangers. Unknown, unknowable. Even if I try, I can't figure out what they're thinking or what their mind is.
So somebody whom we just meet on the way.
No, but you can figure out. You can say hello and pause and talk. Unknowable.
Weather?
No, weather can be, now we can predict within 10 days very well. Perfect stranger is the unborn, those who are not born yet. Because we don't know what their thinking will be, we don't know what their preference will be. We can only speculate, but we have no way to find out. The question is, we talk about intergenerational transfer of knowledge, responsibility, and all of that. But when you have to deal with generation that is not yet born, it is entirely up to our value system as to what we think they might need. So the extent to which we are robbing the nature of its diversity, or all the low-lying areas are filled up by the real estate sharks. So with little rain, you get flood. Earlier, these were like lungs of the body. They used to absorb. The water bodies used to take the extra water, and then now with little rain, you get floods. Because we have not cared about what our future generation might need or might look for. So leadership, truly sustainable leadership, will look at the unborn and try to factor their preferences. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the situation that we have today, where concern for birds, for ant, for squirrel, and of course for the unborn is extremely weak. Extremely weak. I will not elaborate, but I'm sure this is something that you can imagine. There are, as we discussed earlier about oddballs, we also discussed about loners. Some people are not team people. And you should not worry that. I mean, you should not expect everybody will be a team person. Yes, we need teams. A lot of things cannot be done without a team. That's true. But there are people who are loners, who do very well when they're left alone. And you need such people too. You need people who deepen the furrow as against people who open new furrows. Both are different tasks. One who generates new ideas, one who deepens an idea. And I think we should have tolerance for both. Don't neglect the loners. Don't think that they don't get along with others, so therefore they are good for nothing. No, they may have some strength. And maybe they are left alone better. They will not disturb, they will not demand too much attention. They can do without attention, but they can do something very well. And it is useful to challenge them. All right, you work yourself, but then give me this solution or give me this idea. They give me answer to this question. And that might be one way to proceed. I will, this is a triangle that we will talk about a little more about innovation, investment, and enterprise. How do we reduce transaction cost, ex ante and ex post? I'll not go into detail, but those of you who are interested, I can come back. Because these three don't know each other. So leaders have to bring them together, reduce the transaction cost of innovator finding entrepreneur, entrepreneur finding investor, all the three. So therefore, there is a way in which we should create this triangle that we conceived in 1987. Because if transaction costs are too high, then they will not meet. And there is a way to reduce transaction cost. So I told you about network. This is an important point that leader should know that nobody has answers to all the questions. We need to map the hotspots of creativity. Different people, different skills, different strengths. How do we do that? So creativity is not uniformly distributed. Not all creative ideas become innovations. Not all innovations are desirable. You might say, but why? Because they may not be sustainable. So people use dynamite to catch fish. Dynamite will kill the small fish and the big fish too. Very harmful. Very non-sustainable. Innovative, yes. So not all innovations are desirable. There are a lot of innovations which we don't want to encourage. If we don't learn from innovations outside, we will not value innovations within. This is an important point that the घर का जोगी जोगना बाहर का सिद्ध वो गाते हैं ना, लेकिन दोनों चाहिए हमको खाली घर का जोगी को भी नहीं नेग्लेक्ट करना है, बाहर को भी नहीं करना, दोनों को लिखना है. Both we have to carry. And the hotspots for different kinds of innovations will not be the same. So distributed leadership requires us to accept that I'm not good at everything. And I'll give you an example. We did a study with my colleague, former colleague, he's now a professor at Tirupati University, Gangadhar. Way back in 80s, he took me to Adilabad, uh, uh, in Andhra Pradesh, at that time combined state. Salem Forest, he took me. And there's the Chanchu tribe. That 4 or 5 things they used to do: hunting, fishing, food collection, honey collection, etc. And there were 3 principles they followed. The leader will be the one who has the most scarce skill of outstanding nature. So, for example, when they're going for hunting, the person who can decipher the pug marks of the animals and then decide which direction we should go, that person will be the leader, not the traditional leader of the tribe. When they go for honeycomb, honey collection, person who can from a distance see which honeycomb is mature and not, he'll be the leader. Second was that pooling was independent of redistribution. So if I go for honey collection and bring 5 bottles of honey, it will not belong to only the expedition, the 5 tribe or 10 tribals who went. It will be shared with the entire band, all the community. The hunting group will get it. The food gathering group will get it. The fishing group will get it. So third, leadership was iterative. I can be leader in honey group, but I can be leader in hunting. I can be a follower in the hunting. Now, this idea is an interesting one, that we don't have, just because I'm a boss, I don't know good things about everything. So I can make different team leaders and I can say, look, we will all follow his advice because he knows the most about this problem or she knows the most about this problem. And that's a good culture because you respect merit. If we want our society to become meritocratic, if we want merit to count in whatever we do, then we must show it by our example, by our practice. And if idea is of biodiversity mapping, then Raja Ghosh will be the team leader for the state, not just for one sanctuary. Because he has done the most. He should be the one who will advise. If there is some case about value addition, for example, in Gumla Shodhyatra, I asked this question. I had done a reconnaissance visit, so when I came back during the yatra, we knew some answers. We compiled the literature on, for example, what do you do with the jackfruit peel? And people say we throw it away. I said, no, you can't throw it away. It has following 10 uses. If you have a cut and wound, put the skin of the jackfruit, it will help heal very fast. It has antimicrobial properties. What do you do with the mango peel? Throw it away. No, dry it, make a powder of it and mix it with the atta and use it in your food. It's very rich in nutrition. What do you do with the tamarind seed? And so on and so forth. And we showed them the so-called bio-waste, how useful they were. So they can increase. Now, in the entire yatra of Gumla, we met only one person who knew the antimicrobial property of jackfruit skin. Nobody else knew. In every village we turned, we asked this question, nobody knew. Now, obviously, we should find such people who have interest in finding new uses of materials that are going underutilized, because they are the ones who are great circular economists of our society. So during Shodhyatra, as I mentioned, in summer we go to hot places, winter we go to cold places, autumn we go to Himalaya. So 4 times I walk with PGPX, 2 of our batches, and other 2 anybody can join. All of you are welcome. Then we learn from 4 teachers: teacher within, teacher around, teacher in nature, and teacher among common people. So we have different Not everybody learns from all the 4 teachers equally, that's understood. But depending upon our proclivity or tendency, we can focus on some and share learning from them. I'll now take an example of how do we address problems for which we don't have a solution. I will show you the examples of solution also later, but we will try to close it by 12:30, and then half an hour we'll keep only for discussion, or we can stop anywhere when we want. So Gandhiji asked Vinoba Bhave, how much does a person earn by spinning? He said, earning per day of a person cannot be more than 2 annas. Gandhi said, but that is too low. One cannot live by that. Poverty is institutionalized in this. So he wanted to change the design of charkha. In 1920, he issues a challenge, 5,000 rupees award, few entries, nothing much happens. Then he says, okay, again. So from 1920 to 29, no breakthrough came. He increased the award from 5,000 to 7,000, nothing happened. He was frustrated. 10 साल हो गए और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हो रही है. Then he got a brainwave. And he said, all right, 24th July 1929, I'll give now an award of 1 lakh rupees, 7,700 pounds. Mind you, 1 lakh of 1929 would be about 10 crore today. We don't have a single award in this country of, forget about 10 crore, even 1 crore for that matter. Why don't we have that when we have so many problems that we have no solution for? क्या फर्क पड़ता है, इतना बड़ा देश है हमारा. So he announced this award. You can read it at gyati.techpedia.in/announcement. And this is, where is that? The Peti Charkha that came out, this horizontal. In 1931, when he was in Yarwada jail, 3 years he got the solution, what he could not get in 10 years. So there is a way in which we can solve the problems. Challenge award is one area. You can announce challenge award at district level, at state level, in the departmental level. Problems, 5 problems you have identified. You can give monetary awards. You can give different kinds of awards. So this king noticed that something interesting. He was going with his minister in Gondal, in Gujarat, near Rajkot, and he found that women were carrying a lot of load, and he asked his minister, what would they do when they get tired? Sir, they keep walking, because women cannot lift a lot of load alone. So they will have to wait for someone, or they will just keep walking. So he got such platforms built at every mile. So they can bend down, put the load there, rest for a while, then lift it and start walking again. Now, this kind of resting platforms are still available. So not all of them have been broken. They're there. But that showed his sensitivity. I can't take away your problem, but I can at least make it bearable. 1890s. Incidentally, Bhagwan Singh Ji, the king of Gondal, was the one who had put a fine on parents who did not send their daughters to school. He had built libraries in every school, every village. 1890s. Compulsory education for children. We have still not done it. They were leaders like that. Now, here is an example of 3 persistent problems that we have had in our society. Tea leaf plucking, cooking, paddy transplantation. And you will agree that all of them involve a lot of drudgery and a lot of pain. And they are all done by women. So what can be done? So look at this. So this was designed by Nishi Vishwas and our team, engineers from IIT Kharagpur and Divakar from BIT Mesra. Ankit and Divakar worked with Nishi Vishwas and designed this solution. So it is possible to overcome inertia. That's what I'm trying to say. It's possible. And these are various testing grounds and so on. Another example. and this is very familiar, Smita, to you, I'm sure, because you have a lot of mawa trees in Jharkhand and many other forests for that matter. And this is how they break the mawa seed. This is 10,000-year-old practice, 10,000-year-old practice. Something can be done about it. Now let us see how it was cracked. And mind you, I'm as much guilty as anybody else because I lived with this problem for such a long time. Till in our Shodhyatra in Jhabua, one of the innovator, Dharamveer from Yamunanagar, where there is no mawa tree, got persuaded and designed a machine and implemented it, and went back. Then it was motorized. Then we said, no, we need manual. And then there came the machine. 10,000-year-old inertia overcome. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not impossible. But if you ask me how many villages have, we don't have too many villages where this machine is available. That's where we need support from people who believe that good ideas need to scaling up. And scaling up is not necessarily the strength of each innovator. I mean, they may not have the wherewithal to distribute it. Somebody can, somebody should. So my point is that leaders don't live with inertia indefinitely. If I live with a problem unsolved indefinitely, then I become part of the problem. Because I'm creating reasons, I'm creating rationality, I'm creating excuses why this problem has to persist. No, it doesn't have to persist. Let me give you another example. There are 4 shoe menders, cobblers, मोची हैं. एक बैठते हैं नीति आयोग के बाहर, एक मंगोलिया के हैं, एक अफगानिस्तान के हैं, चाइना के हैं. Mongolia is poorer than us, China is richer than us, but look at the way shoes are mended. This was designed, this triangle, this was the iron piece was designed when shoes had nail. Today, shoes don't have nail. They have adhesive or stitches. So there's a machine here to do that, but not in India. कौन करेगा? My quality of life cannot be better than the quality of service I get. And service provider therefore must have tools to deliver me the outstanding service. He is the service provider. Who will innovate for it? Who will give this challenge to the students or to the designers or to the fabricators to find good solutions? Other countries have done it. We have not done it. So this I have already told you about the innovation that Gandhiji generated within 3 years. So there are many solutions in Jharkhand Shodhyatra. We found this in Ranchi, near Ranchi. Normally, one hand pump, one child, you have a break. There are 30, 40 children, 50 children to drink water. Now, this 400 rupees solution can help 6 or 7 children to get water at the same time. One will help, others will drink, and very low cost solution. Another example of earlier it was called motorcycle based plowing machine. Now it's chassis based, multiple models. So leadership is to start early, and we have a lot of examples of children as designers. So Chaya Thakur from Borugaon, she felt that she was too small, couldn't reach the taps. Now, mind you, we've had seen these taps in all our Shodhyatras. I must admit, this idea didn't come to my mind. That small kids, how will they drink water? She said, why don't you tilt it? Smaller kid will drink here, taller here, taller here, taller here, taller here. And she got it implemented. And then I invited her, the youngest faculty in my class. I invited her, and in Wing 11, which is the faculty lounge, we had a meeting where she taught my students how did she observe the problem. She tried to solve it, got it implemented, whereas we are very good in analyzing, very poor in implementation. She solved a problem. This kid from Ranchi gave an idea which got him an award, that sometimes you get distracted while working. Why couldn't a pressure sensor be there on the pen? The moment your grip goes loose, LED light will light up on the top of the pen. And teacher will say, Rudra, where are you? Come back. And immediately your concentration can improve. Transferring mobile to mobile charging. Many times we are not sitting properly. So if there is a sensor on the laptop, it senses my posture and tells me, look, I will not let you do work now. The screen goes blank and the message comes, sit properly, I won't let you do work. Problem of adults. Solution by kids. Or there may be pressure sensor on the back. If I'm not pressing them all, chair will sing and play music. Unless I sit properly, it will not let me work. These are the kinds of solutions children are thinking about. My gait, my way of walking as a password. This kid was in class 1, the youngest kid whom we gave an award at the hand of Dr. Kalam. And Chris Anant asked a question when his father was doing vacuum cleaning, why his shoes had this sound, chuncho. He said, why do my shoes make sound? I said, there's a whistle. And he was smart. He said, if there's a whistle, then air must be coming in. He said, yes. Air must be going out. He said, yes. Why can't my shoes become vacuum cleaner? Oh my God. He observed, he analyzed, he abstracted, and he applied all the 4 steps he could do by the age of 5. Now, kids are very creative. She was in class 8 at that time. Now she's a graduate. Walkers don't walk on the steps. Her grandfather had a problem. Our team got it fabricated. When you walk up, the legs become shorter. When you come down, they become taller. Such a solution doesn't exist anywhere in the world. It is not just a solution for India, it is a solution for the world. Global. G to G, grassroots to global. So we can create solutions. It requires leadership, which will observe, seek the idea, identify the ideas, implement them, scale them up. And that's how this frugal future will be created. Look at what Jignesh Pai has done. And this is the last example. What has he done? No, a few more after that, but then I'll quickly get over them. This fellow, we met him on my way, we're coming back from Gandhinagar, and we saw his vehicle and we said, this is something I've never seen before. So we paused, asked him to stop. And today his mobility has increased. Many people who are wheelchair bound need this kind of solution. No automobile company made it. So if material resources were a constraint, then the solution should not come from a common person. But it has. So please appreciate that leadership is not only to recognize ideas, but also to help them institutionalize, to help them become scaled up. So this is an example of business model innovation. My colleague Anamika had a project from DBT, Department of Biotechnology. So the knowledge was identified from Baramulla. There were projects in Baramulla, Sikkim, Gazing, and Kifre in Nagaland. So this oil was developed in leaf oil. And then the names of the people were put on the label. Now, you have never seen such a product. No product in the West, Europe, or US, or Japan, or Australia has a name of the innovators of the bottle. My dream is the day will come when all products, no matter which company makes it, will have name of the inventor or innovator of the most important feature of that product on the label, on the package. So that when I, as a user, as a consumer, bring this product to my home, I will talk about innovations. My point is, if I had waited for a model to come from West, I wouldn't do this. This colonial mind, this bias towards Western models must give way. All of us know this became almost like a synonym for frugal innovation. Mansukh Bhai, double-walled structure, sells to 20 countries. Huge progress. We had invested a small amount in him, 98. And today he has become a multimillionaire. Very simple example. Just remove this red attachment and your cycle, you attach the red attachment, it becomes the e-cycle. You take it away to the class or to your meeting, and then the cycle parks there and your device is with you. Poultry feather, silk. So many such examples are there. I will not take much time. I'm just trying to say that if we have hunger for new ideas, there is no dearth of it. And never ever encourage shortcuts. Shortcuts don't take us far. They may give results in the short run, but that's not what we want. Never use the term जुगाड़. जुगाड़ is a makeshift solution, temporary solution. आप थोड़ा जोर लगाएंगे, इसको थोड़ा ऊपर उठाएंगे, उसको कर देंगे. That is not the solution. We want systematic. We want durable solutions. This is an important lesson. Leaders allow themselves to be led. Reverse mentoring. I can expect not to know everything, so I allow people to teach me, those who know more. How do I find them? Like fireflies. They are there in the light also, but they are not seen. They are seen in the place where there is a darkness. Then we see their color. In the daytime also they are flying around. So you need to have an eye for a small sparkle of light. So what have we done? Let me summarize. We have talked about purpose-driven, pioneering leadership, paradoxical leadership, leadership which deals with conflicts, with tensions, with contradictions, persistent leadership, great in execution. I may not have ideas, but I know someone who has an idea, and I get that idea executed or amplified. Pollinator. I share this idea with larger number of people. Create public knowledge goods. There is no one who has not used a downloaded PDF for your class, for your work, for your reading pleasure, or whatever. And yet, as we said repeatedly, when you ask how many articles have you uploaded, how many blogs have you created, how many ideas you have shared, the situation is not very encouraging. So how do we try to bring some of these profiles in our mind? Incentives, as I said, need not be material, could be non-material, need not be individual, it could be collective. A portfolio of incentives generally works better than any single incentive. We need to bring the team together. So, priorities of different companies. This was a small incident in a film which we had shared 3 examples. One was this, another was a shearing of the sheep, Mohammad Idris and Sheikh Jahangir. These were the 2 ideas which were taken in 3 Idiots. And there, remember, few minutes of that scene is remembered. What had he done? Jahangir was providing flour grinding service at the doorstep of the user. So how do we ensure that society delivers? How do we create multimedia, multi-language libraries or physical libraries of innovations, no matter where we are, whichever sector we are? Let there be enough learning repository from solutions, bottom up and top down both. This is the last slide, innovation playground. Inside out may be high or low, outside in may be high or low. If both are low, you are like an ostrich. If you have inside out low, but outside in high, you are a sponge. You are absorbing ideas, crowdsourcing ideas, but not sharing them. If you share more and seek less, you are like Tesla, which shared all its patents on batteries with others. And if you have both, then you are DBDB, Dil Bada Dimag Bada. Those who have this quality can share more, can learn more. And I would like to be here, and I wish all of you to be here. So we invite you to join the network. build upon bottom-up innovations, win the trust of these kids. They are expecting us to change the world for them. We can. We have to do it. So let me close by saying creativity counts, knowledge matters, innovations transform, and incentives inspire. Not just individual, but collective, not just material, but also non-material. Thank you. Open for discussion. You can share your own thoughts. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So my name is Rithi Raj. I'm currently an IPS officer posted in a law and order zone in Telangana Cadre.
Okay.
When you've spoken about so many examples of innovation, sir, I could not help but think that what is it something that we can do in our sector? Because our sector is always wrought with firefighting. It's just always in the moment, in the moment. We
Yeah.
never have the bandwidth to think ahead or to think of what may be desirable and to identify. And even if we do, sometimes it's more like everything is very systematic and there are recipes in place, and exactly that has to be followed because everything else is restricted by the law. So, how can innovation happen in a sector like this?
First of all, there are two aspects of your question. One is how can police officers become pollinator? And second, because then you don't have to learn only about policing. We are human beings. We are doing many things. We are eating food. We are drinking water. We are taking our children to school and so on and so forth. So, as a I have a portfolio of activities in which policing is one part of me, isn't it? So that is one part of your question. Second is how can policing itself be made more effective? And let me begin with the second one. So there is a police commissioner in Baroda. You might know him. I'll tell his name in a minute. So he found he created a she force. Now it has become a statewide policy. He asked the women police officers, police constables, and others that look, we have elderly people, we have also women. Both of them are vulnerable. Can we go out of our way to see when they are in trouble or they are not able to carry on things, to offer a lend our help without asking, without waiting for them to ask. We go out and ask them whether is there a need, do they need any help. So if there's a woman alone in the night and she's waiting at something for bus or something, we can go and ask where would she go, how long it will take, which bus is she going by, so on and so forth, and tell her that look, we are here. So if you need to, tell us. And we'll try to tell the driver or the bus conductor that you are taken care of properly. In other words, going out of the way to make vulnerable people, elderly and women in this case, and some cases it may be children too, feel safer. There was another interesting idea that you have data on crime. So one student in Delhi, IT Delhi student, he was doing a small internship. He mapped the crimes along different roads at different times. And therefore, he identified the safe zones when you are coming from the airport or railway station. You have to go to some place, which is the route which you should take at that time, which is a safer route. Interesting idea, isn't it? Because probability is reduced. In those paths that have very less report of crime, over the data you have for maybe a few years, you know that in this path, it's maybe longer, take half an hour extra, but it's safer. And I think it's better to be safe than never. So the person on the app can figure out which direction should, and so tell the taxi driver that take me through that path. No matter what, I will pay you whatever it is extra. So there are many things in which both data-driven solutions and people-driven solutions can be brought in, and we can create new models of servicing. My question, and now I come to the first part of the question, that we are also all dealing with different other parts of our life. And it is not necessary that police person will only, I think of police. I'll give you an idea. In Orissa, there is a place, name will come in a minute, a district. There was an SP there who used to read Honeybee newsletter. And he, during cyclone, first cyclone, which came some 15, 20 years ago, uh, all the wells were filled with the cyclone water. So they were all saline. So no drinking water problem was there. So his servant told him that, sir, if we can get jamun wood, a lot of trees had fallen down, that wood will create our well will become get healed up and water will become good quality very soon. Now, if you search on Google, you will find that jamun has a great water cleaning property. He sent that idea to us and we published in our newsletter. In this case, he was not talking about policing. He was talking about something that he learned from his constable at home about a problem that everybody was facing. And he thought that this is a good solution. He should communicate to us, and I came to him. So what I'm saying is that there are both the aspects of life where police people can think of solutions that are not necessarily in policing, but they can also think of, they should of course think about police solutions within policing. And there can be institutional solutions, there can be technological solutions, there can be cultural solutions. And I think you know that in some cases they give rose to every traffic violator. In some places I have seen that. Now that's an interesting way of doing it. You are not punishing a fellow. You are saying, look, I have noticed you. You did something wrong. Take this rose, but in future, please remember, I will not be giving you rose next time. I'll give you a challan. And the person says, sorry, 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 I will try. Now, this is a very positive way of bringing about change in the behavior rather than always getting a challan book and then finding people, which of course is a legitimate law, legal order. So I'm saying that I've come across many examples, and I think it's a good idea to bring more examples of behavioral change, of compliance with the law. I mean, there were 4 girls which sent us an idea from Tamil Nadu, Bhanu and others, that if you don't wear helmet, the motorcycle will not start. They were looking at a technological solution of an institutional problem. Institutional problem is generally boys, but also others are negligent. They don't take care of their safety, and that causes a lot of accident. Accident, incidentally, is the largest cause of death in our country. So then we got it. We found a fabricator in Orissa who made that Bluetooth device that if you don't wear the helmet or put the lock together, the ignition will not start. Now, of course, it has not yet diffused, but the fact is that the solution was found. So I would say that crowdsourcing ideas from children, particularly, but also from others, because children have to live the longest. So they have the highest stake in our society, future. So getting schools and colleges to think of new solutions, technological, behavioral change, institutional, of the problems like not wearing the helmets or driving on the wrong side or doing the pranks on the highway or various kind of things that young people indulge in sometime, and not necessarily we should, I mean, we obviously should discourage it. But then we ask people to create, generate solutions. And I think that might work because the power of crowdsourcing or mass sourcing is very high. And it is, and even Gandhiji realized that, so why not we should realize. So it might be a good idea to mobilize ideas of the people who are affected by the violation of the law and thereby become stakeholder in compliance. And they tell us how to generate more compliance of the legal order so that everybody is safe, everybody is better off. I think that might be one way. So I'm quite hopeful that no sector is devoid of potential of learning from people. And I think your sector has certainly more chances because you have the largest, you have the biggest problem of our country, which is accidents. And you know that in many countries on the highway, you have got those buttons where you can call assistance. We are also trying to build those call booths for emergency help. But somebody said, why don't we have a device in the two-wheeler where if you fall down, then the alert goes to the police and they find you location GPS and then come to you for rescue. So there are many. Sometimes children think about technological solutions. Sometimes they will think about institutional solutions, and we should engage them. At least they will feel involved. They will feel that they have a stake in what you're trying to do, and you're doing for them. So therefore, they should feel partner in this process.
Uh, if I can pitch in here, Ritiraj, and just to add on to what Sir mentioned, uh, a few things, and I think this is based on one of the conversation I was having with a police officer based on his experience posted in Bijapur district, Chhattisgarh. And then he was mentioning about that one of the things he started was focusing on the, let's say, the physical health of his subordinates in the
Yes.
station he was posted at, and maybe
Yes, sir, that we
motivating
are
them.
doing, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
We got the testing done through CSR of one of the hospitals and then the proper treatment of the major deficiencies which are happening. My question, what I really wanted to ask was that because of policing, either we deal with crime, the investigation part, the compliance of, for example, the traffic accident matter that sir pointed out. Now, in traffic accident, it's the behavior of the people. No
Right.
matter what we have tried, for example, sir, you mentioned giving roses to people when they are not complying to show that, okay, today we are uh, uh, giving a rose to you, tomorrow we'll be penalizing you. But we tried that, it has not exactly led to a proper change. And my main question was that in policing, when we are limited by the bounds of law, within the bounds of law, how do we innovate? Innovate, and the example that you gave where that private individual learned about the hotspots and then suggested preferable pathways. Now, that is something a private individual can do. Police itself cannot do because if the police itself comes out with maps which say that okay, these routes are risky and these routes are safe, it will attract criticism that the police itself is accepting that these routes are not safe, and instead of doing something about it, they are putting it like that. So, because whenever we have seen the problem with in my sector is that everything has an SOP, everything has law, it's all limited. So, if there's any deviation in with respect to trying something new. Either it gets shunted off by saying that this is not approved by the SOP and this is not legally permissible, or it is something which does not exactly give us a long-term solution.
No, you take the case of cybercrime, which is becoming a very serious problem. We need a lot of help of IT students, IT professionals, IT professors to help create awareness in the society. Police alone cannot do that. So
Yes, sir.
if you create cells of IT faculty from, I mean, Telangana has one of the highest number of engineering colleges in Hyderabad,
We are
800
doing that,
colleges
sir.
in one city. So if you engage IT departments of all the colleges and tell them that, look, we need your help. This is the SOP that we have found out. If you can improve it, improve it. But we want this message to go to every elderly population, particularly because elderly are more prone to these problems. And please help us to reach them. Now, this is something that you will need help of society. You cannot do it alone. And you need to do it because we know how much of crime taking place today. So I think police will have to become open to engaging with society at large, particularly professionals, in achieving those goals which by their own force they cannot achieve. So we, for certain problems, taking help of students and faculty, say in cybercrime, I think it will help. It will help, and they will communicate your message with some additional tips, maybe to the people, so that they can be warned. But there is, Prime Minister has talked in Man Ki Baat. Government has given advertisement. Still, cybercrime is taking place, which means these means are not sufficient to reach people, isn't it? So it may be a good idea that we achieve this goal by involving young people of our country who know the subject, who knows IT, and who can help us to spread. Yes, Pankaj,
Thank you, sir.
and then I'll come to Abu Bakr. Yeah,
Yes,
Pankaj. Yeah,
yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, listening to you feels like कि सब कुछ लिख ले, सब कुछ रिकॉर्ड हो जाए, कुछ पूछने का भी मन नहीं कर रहा है. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. But I have 2 points, two small questions. Sir, implementation, the small example that you give, how the small entrepreneurs, innovators are coming from the root level. So this implementation or the new invention or the new discovery used to happen at ground level. I had came from, I was an engineer and now I'm in a corporate setup. So yeah, when I was an engineer at the ground level, we used to have lots of small things getting implemented. We dare and we try to improvise the system, improvise the safety of the personnel, and in this way. But those idea were there at the site level never get replicated to the highest level or to the country level. But now, as I'm in corporate, when I used to feel like, okay, new idea I can now at this phase I can implement that idea to the country level. Here, the new bottleneck is everybody want a well polished implement a well polished, fully grown up idea so that any funder, any government, or any person that they have to invest money into that, they are only secure and they feel confident only on those idea. No idea. They used to say groom it to a level so that it can be implemented and so that we have the confidence in investing. So
You
ye
see, there is no limit. You will be surprised to know that the maximum request I received for innovation, discussion on innovations, is from multinational companies, not from national companies. Majority of them. Why is it that they are keen to learn about how do we learn from bottom up and from top, both kinds of innovations, and not our own systems? I mean, this is something which has always intrigued me. But nevertheless, let me give an example of N. Vittal. He was Secretary Electronics. I'm talking about 90s. And he was a very good administrator. Wherever he went, he will try to bring about something new. So when he became electronics secretary, he circulated a small checklist to all his staff, asking them to identify some unique skills that they have. So he found that some people know Japanese language, some people know German language, some people know something. And he said, whenever there's a delegation of Japan, he will call that fellow and say, join our meeting and help me understand what they're talking among themselves also, because our translator may be limited. Now, identifying the underutilized potential of people which otherwise would not get tabbed is something that we can do in any organization, any corporation, any management organization. So there are many ways in which the ideas can be scaled up, can be first of all discovered and scaled up. And there is no organization which cannot do that. Once I was talking to Barclays, they have the highest, 60% of the high net worth individuals of our country have account with Barclays Bank. And I was discussing with them and I said, look, you know that high net worth individuals after a while are not looking for more money. What are they looking for? And they said, sir, they may be looking for meaning. I said, yes, not money, but meaning. How do they get meaning? So have you cared about linking them with causes that they believe in? They had never thought about it. But this was something simple. So what I'm saying is that if we start looking for what is the gap in my supply chain of ideas and services that I'm providing, and where can I get ideas to fill that gap? So I'm mobilizing money, but I'm not getting it utilized in the way that will give more satisfaction and more joy to the people. Then I will discover, I'll ask this question. Otherwise, I will not ask this question. I need to go to one step above, two steps above, three steps above. Then, so once I was in Maine, US. I was teaching at a college called V just for a few days, and we went around to meet some startups. So there was a mushroom grower. So I took students and we were there at his farm. After some time, he was answering all the questions. One of the students said, sir, you have answered all our questions. If I set up a mushroom farm, what will you do? He said, no problem, I'll supply you spawn. And the student said, okay, if I start supplying spawn, what will you do? He said, doesn't matter, I will move into the medicinal mushroom. In other words, he was moving one orbit above. He was not looking at them as a competitor. This thinking is important. Not everybody has this. That the value chain is huge value chain available, potentially available. Why am I getting logged into only the one orbit and not moving to the next orbit? So, Pankaj, I would say that there's a huge scope for expanding the role, your role or role of your people like you in corporates, because there is such a huge potential we have of untapped genius, untapped skills, untapped knowledge, and galvanize that for making our society better. I don't know if it helps you, but that's what I think.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's really helpful. And
Abu Bakar, please.
Good afternoon, sir. It was nice to listen to you, sir. Myself, sir, Secretary Agriculture and also Secretary Forest, Jharkhand, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Sir, in Jharkhand only, Ranji. I'm looking after agriculture as well as forest, sir. Sir, while listening to you, you were mentioning about the difficulty of defining what is innovation or the startups. So, in fact, I just thought to share one experience, because as a Secretary Agriculture, a lot of young guys used to come to me and tell, we have developed this solution for this problem, that problem, startup, etc. So, give us some support. So, last year we prepared a budgetary proposal, planned a budgetary proposal to support the startups. But while we defining the criteria or the scheme designing, we actually felt the real issue how to select the startups. Who are the real startups? Who are the real innovators? Because it is very tough to define who is really bringing ideas on their own or whether it is simply assembling ideas. So we could not find out much proper criteria for one thing. Second thing, sir, selection criteria also, how original they are and also their scalability. When we are supporting as a government, their scalability of ideas, that also we found one issue. And even, sir, we wanted to bring them as part of the procurement process. But the government regulations, government procurement policy and manuals, etc., everywhere prohibiting a kind of restraining taking these startups into the procurement system. Because everywhere mostly L1 criteria plus experience criteria, etc. So how can we support this kind of venture? Because we have a lot of startups, innovative startups in Jharkhand in agriculture. So one-to-one contact, we could really feel they are really need to be supported. Because now the Smita was mentioning about the Raja Ghosh. So even if we want to, as a Secretary Forest, we can simply give some kind of acknowledging or some puraskar, etc. But institutionally, to take such people along is very tough, sir. So could you give some ideas, sir?
I fully empathize with you, but I think we can solve these problems. And I'll be very happy to work with you on that. First of all, let us come to the third point, last point, procurement, and then we'll move to the scaling up, and then we'll move to the novelty. Three things that you have mentioned. Under DPPIT norms, you can up to 25 lakh rupees you can procure in a single tender for a startup. There's a policy of the central government, and I'm sure your state government is complying with it. So please invoke that rule where you are convinced of a product and its utility under single tender. You can, without getting into the L1 issue, because L1 is relevant when there are multiple contenders. Sometimes you design your tender itself according to the innovation. Because that is a very simple, we do it for the, you know how companies do that. Now, instead of helping the large corporations, why can't we help our young people by designing a requirement in a manner that can only be met by the solution? So even if you don't do that, you are allowed under the rules of DPIT that up to 25 lakh rupees you can procure under single tender. So please do encourage startups. The second question about scaling up. My feeling is that one should not think that anything which can be scaled up in the whole state is only scaling up. Scaling up can be at district level. Sometimes it can be at a taluk level, because that problem doesn't exist all over the state. So then why should I expect solution that startup to be responsible for solving all problems of all the people? No, no. That problem, where is it acute? In this taluka, this district. Let him focus there. And scale should not become enemy of sustainability. As a forest secretary, you will agree that what do we consider as sustainable when there is diversity? A lot of different ideas, different species, different thoughts coming together. So we should not reject an idea just because it can only meet the need of 5,000 people as against 50,000 people. At least those 5,000 people, once he scale up, he will get cash flow. Slowly and slowly, things will go up. So please don't make a scale the enemy of sustainability. Do try to accept, even if it can solve the problem, I would say, in a few villages, that's good enough. Because those people, in the absence of this solution, will suffer. And they have no other choice. So let us say there's a startup in Jamshedpur itself who uses water hyacinth to make saris and paper and hardboard and so on. Gaurav Anand. Now, that fellow, obviously, water hyacinth is a big problem in lakes, within forest, outside forest, in the cities. And startups which are trying to find solutions for that need to be encouraged. Novelty is very different. Novelty has to be seen differently. I have taught IPR for many, many, many decades. Prior art search, there are 4 kinds of prior art search. One is patent database. We have 1 million abundant patents on our website, gyan.org. 1 million website पे हमारे available है, gyan.org/databases. But one can search on the Google patent also. Second is the market. India Mart, Alibaba, you can check whether that product is available in the market. Third is novelty in terms of not entire product, but form, feature, or function. There is one thing which is novel. Not everything is novel. So many times what happens, we have product like this. What price is it available? It is available for 5,000 rupees. How much is this person charging? 500 rupees. Frugality is also novelty. If somebody is able to do it at less cost than what market is charging, we should encourage. We want our society, our large common people, to afford solution. If they are not able to afford the solution that is available in the market because of high prices, this person is making it available. Please encourage him. Fourth is, of course, that if novelty, it may not be on the net because not all small entrepreneurs have been on the net. But novelty is local, not global. It is available elsewhere in the solution. China में available है, US में available है, हमारे देश में तो नहीं है, या हमारे देश में भी है अगर, लेकिन झारखंड में तो नहीं है. तो भाई लोकल जो यूटिलिटी है, we should not worry too much. There must be something novel. Either supply chain should be good, or the delivery system should be good, or packaging should be biodegradable so that it doesn't create more plastic waste in our country. Something of that kind, where product itself may not be new, but packaging material may be new. And why can't we encourage? तो मेरा मतलब है कि हम कोशिश ये करें पहले देखने की कि इसमें क्या चीज़ है जिसको हम आगे एलिवेट कर सकते हैं, बजाय ये देखने के कि ये तो प्रोडक्ट अवेलेबल था तो हमने उसको हटा दिया लाइन में से, लिस्ट में से. नहीं हटाना है, क्योंकि उसने कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम को सोच के ही काम किया होगा. यस, सम पीपल में बी मी टू काइंड के जो हो रहा है उसी को दोबारा कर रहे हैं, उनको छोड़ दीजिए. लेकिन काफ़ी लोग जो हैं, काफ़ी बच्चे हैं, हमारे यंग लोग हैं, वो कोशिश करते हैं कि एक रियल प्रॉब्लम के ऊपर काम करें. जो रियल प्रॉब्लम पे काम कर रहे हैं और वो प्रॉब्लम अगर सीमित है कुछ क्षेत्र में, तो उस क्षेत्र के लिए तो हमें उसको एनकरेज कर देना चाहिए. देखिए क्या होता है ना, आपके पास मुझे नहीं मालूम कितनी एप्लीकेशन आई, मान लीजिए 500 आई होंगी. कितनी आई थी आपके पास? आवाज आपका अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, अनम्यूट कर लीजिए.
70 to 80 था सर.
हाँ, तो बहुत ज्यादा नहीं थी ना 70-80.
बहुत ज्यादा नहीं थी.
तो थोड़ा लिबरल हो जाइए इसमें. 70-80 में पहले उनको निकाल दीजिए जिसके पास प्रूफ ऑफ कंसेप्ट नहीं है, ठीक है ना. उसमें से देख लीजिए कितने लोग हैं जिनको थोड़ा सा बूट स्टेप ग्रांट चाहिए, थोड़ा सीड ग्रांट चाहिए ताकि वो अपना प्रोटोटाइप बना सकें. फेल हो जाएंगे तो कोई बात नहीं. देखिए, अगर आपने सोचा कि हम सिर्फ सभी ऐसे इन्वेस्ट करेंगे जिनमें सफलता मिल जाए, तो फिर तो हम इनोवेशन को प्रमोट नहीं कर सकते. थोड़ा रिस्क तो हमें लेना चाहिए. और गुड वेल इंटेंशन्ड, अच्छी नीयत से ले रहे हैं रिस्क, हम कोई ऐसा नहीं ले रहे हैं. कोई ऐसा बायो वेस्ट है जिसका वो यूटिलाइज कर रहा है जो आज वेस्ट जा रहा है। ये बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है पूरे देश की। हमारे पास जैसे मैंने बताया आम की गुठली बेकार जा रही है, इमली का बीज बेकार जा रहा है कई जगह, आपका जो जैक फ्रूट है, कटहल है, उसका छिलका बेकार जा रहा है। ऐसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं हमारे यहाँ झारखंड में जो बेकार जा रही हैं। तो हम उनका अगर कोई यूटिलाइज कर सकता है, करने को चाहता है, हमको चैलेंज अवार्ड भी देने चाहिए एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से। कुछ प्रॉब्लम जिनका हमारे पास सॉल्यूशन नहीं है, मान लीजिए शेल्फ लाइफ कुछ फ्रूट्स की बहुत कम है, तो हम चैलेंज अवार्ड दे दें इसके अंदर कि भाई इसकी शेल्फ लाइफ बढ़ानी है, वरना किसानों का 60-70% प्रोडक्ट वेस्ट हो जाता है, उनको पैसा नहीं मिलता है और कंज्यूमर को भी फायदा नहीं हो रहा है। इसकी शेल्फ लाइफ बताओ, कोई तरीका बनाओ ताकि हम इसको ज़्यादा समय तक बेच पाएँ। तो दैट प्रॉब्लम इज़ अ वेरी सीरियस प्रॉब्लम। तो अभी क्या हुआ, जैसे तेलंगाना में एक है विशाल, अभी हमने उसको, मैं 5 इनोवेटर को लेके गया था पेरिस 4 जून को, 5 को अवार्ड मिला वहाँ पेरिस क्लब ऑफ इनोवेशन से। तो उसमें एक इनोवेशन जो थी वो तेलंगाना की थी, जिसमें उसने क्या किया, जो कैरेट होता है ना सब्जी का, वो डबल वॉल बना दिया और उसमें पानी डाल दिया और एक कागज डाल दिया। अब सब्जी जो है बजाय एक दिन में खराब होने के 3 या 4 दिन तक रह जाती है। तो जो वेजिटेबल वेंडर है वो, या छोटा शॉपकीपर है, वो तो बना सकता है ना उस कैरेट के अंदर, तो उसकी सब्जी जो है अगले दिन भी बिक जाएगी, वरना तो कोई खरीदता नहीं है स्टेल वेजिटेबल को ना, तो बेचारे का सामान बेकार जाता है, तो फिर वो बेकार जाएगा तो ज़्यादा खरीदेगा नहीं, नहीं खरीदेगा नहीं तो किसान को भी नहीं पहुंचेगा। तो आई थिंक वी शुड लुक फॉर इनोवेशंस नॉट ओनली इन झारखंड। झारखंड की समस्या हल करे इनोवेटर फ्रॉम झारखंड हो या फॉर झारखंड हो, दोनों को कंसिडर करिए आप, क्योंकि हमारा मकसद है लोगों की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना। सारे सॉल्यूशन झारखंड से आएंगे ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है, तो हम उनको टाई अप करा सकते हैं कि अच्छा भाई तुम वेजिटेबल चेन में काम कर रहे हो, ये तेलंगाना का इनोवेशन, दोनों जने मिलकर करो काम, हम इसको आपको सपोर्ट कर देंगे। तो थोड़ा लिबरल हो जाइए, थोड़ा सा इंक्लूसिव हो जाइए, थोड़ा सा कम्युनिटी का हित किस में है उसको देख लीजिए, और थोड़ी नॉवेल्टी तो होनी चाहिए किसी न किसी चीज़ में, लेकिन वो सारी चीज़ों में नॉवल हो जरूरी नहीं है। उसके लिए उसको भी थोड़ा सोच लीजिए कि अगर कोई एक तरीका उसका नॉवल है, मान लीजिए वाटर हाइसेंथ को कलेक्ट करने का तरीका नॉवल है या उसको प्रोसेस करने का तरीका नॉवल है, तो उसमें हम उसको आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। बट दिस इज समथिंग वी कैन डिस्कस अगेन, बट माई सजेशन टू यू विल बी दैट this is a very important area and Jharkhand needs tremendous push in this area. तो आप ये भी सोच लो कम से कम कि भाई अगर जितने डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं, हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट से भी एक स्टार्टअप को ले लिया, थोड़ा कमजोर भी था लेकिन उस जिले में बात तो जाएगी ना, इस जिले के अंदर से एक आदमी को, किसी को भी एक स्टार्टअप को मौका मिला तो वो 10 और को इंस्पिरेशन मिलेगी उससे। तो समटाइम्स वी सपोर्ट पीपल ऑल्सो टू क्रिएट अ बज इन दिस सिस्टम, थोड़ा सा आवाज जाए, थोड़ा सा शोर मचे, थोड़ी सी बातचीत हो इलाके में, वो भी देखिए हमारा मकसद है। तो और कई बार क्या होता है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भी इन्वॉल्व कर सकते हैं, जरूरी नहीं कि सरकारी सब कुछ प्रोक्योर करेगी। तो मान लीजिए कि किसी का बड़ा मॉल है, आपने उनको बुलाया, भी देखिए ये हमने सपोर्ट किया है लेकिन इसको मार्केट नहीं मिल रही है, आप लोग थोड़ा मौका दीजिए ना इसको, थोड़ा सा इसके भी इसका प्रोक्योर करिए, थोड़ा इसको जगह दे दीजिए थोड़ी सी अपने मॉल में। तो वो भी काम है हमारा लिंकेजेस बनाने का, जिसके लिए जिसमें आप बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव हो सकते हैं, क्योंकि वो लिंकेज बनाने का काम कई बार कमज़ोर हो जाता है। एक स्टार्टअप की कोई बात सुनता नहीं है ना, कौन सुनेगा उसके लिए, किसी सीनियर कोई जनरल मैनेजर किसी मॉल का। लेकिन आपके लिए आसान है, आपने फ़ोन कर दिया, उसको बोल दिया भाई मैं भेज रहा हूँ उनको, ज़रा इनकी बात सुन लो और देख लो कि क्या आप उनके लिए थोड़ी जगह दे सकते हो उनको। 4-5 स्क्वायर मीटर की जगह भी दोगे तो ये लोग अपना स्टैंड ही लगाकर कुछ बेच लेंगे, अच्छा चलेगा तो फिर ये तुमको पैसा दे देंगे। थोड़ा 1 हफ्ता 10 दिन तो उनको मौका दो, तो कई बार उनको ज़रा थोड़ा कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस मिलेगा थोड़ा सा। हमने एक यहाँ एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है अहमदाबाद में, तो हमने फार्मर मार्केट चलाई है ऑर्गेनिक फार्मर्स के लिए। तो ऐसे ही प्लेटफॉर्म बना दीजिए थोड़ा सा, जहाँ पर ऑर्गेनिक फार्मर्स जो काम कर रहे हैं, नेचुरल फार्मिंग काम कर रहे हैं, उन लोगों को जगह मिल जाए शहर के अंदर बेचने की, और वहाँ पर रोज़ सुबह वो आएँ साफ करके जाएँ। तो मतलब कई सारे तरीके हैं जिनसे हम स्टार्टअप्स को एनकरेज कर सकते हैं। खाली पैसा ही नहीं चाहिए उनको, और काफ़ी चीज़ें चाहिए होती हैं, लिंकेज चाहिए होते हैं, सपोर्ट चाहिए होता है, टेस्टिंग करवाइए। किसी ने प्रोटोटाइप बनाया, यूनिवर्सिटी जो है वो लंबा चौड़ा बिल बना देगी, नहीं भाई हम आपको सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट आपको सपोर्ट कर रही है, आपको ये काम करना है, थोड़ा सा नॉमिनल कॉस्ट ले लीजिए, वो भी हम दे देंगे आपको कॉस्ट, आप इनके टेस्टिंग करके रिपोर्ट दीजिए हमको 3 महीने के अंदर या 1 महीने के अंदर। वरना वो रिपोर्ट 6-6 महीने 1-1 साल लग जाता है उनको लेने में। तो उसको आप उसको पुश कर सकते हैं थोड़ा सा, कि उसके प्रोफेसर को, एक अच्छे इंजीनियरिंग का प्रोफेसर है उसी को चेयरमैन बना दो कि भाई तेरे को, यू आर चेयर ऑफ दिस 5 इनोवेशन दैट वी हैव गॉट इन मशीनरी सेक्टर, प्रोसेसिंग सेक्टर और व्हाटएवर, इनको आप इवेल्युएट करो और हमें 2 महीने के अंदर बताओ इसको कैसे सपोर्ट करना, और इम्प्रूवमेंट अगर कुछ जरूरत है तो इम्प्रूवमेंट भी सजेस्ट करो, खाली टेस्ट नहीं करना है, इम्प्रूवमेंट भी सजेस्ट करना है। ये बच्चे हमारे हैं, हमको खाली इनको इवेल्यूएट नहीं करना होता है, इनको आगे बढ़ाना होता है। तो इस तरीके से एक 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 आपका काम आसान हो जाएगा। थोड़ा सा आप थोड़ा डेडलाइन भी लगा दो, थोड़ा प्रेशर भी लगाओ, और थोड़ा इंसेंटिव भी दोगे, परसुएशन भी करोगे। सारे काम चाहिए, ये साम दाम दंड भेद चारों चीजें आपको इस्तेमाल करनी पड़ेंगी। सिस्टम हमारा बड़ा इनर्शिया ड्रिवन है, तो
सर
मैं बुराई नहीं कर रहा हूँ किसी की, लेकिन थोड़ा सा पुश करना जरूरी होता है, तभी सिस्टम होगा। लेकिन आप काम अच्छा कर रहे हो, उसको बढ़ाओ यार, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, बहुत
सर
अच्छी बात है। और
थैंक यू।
फॉरेस्ट में इतना सारा फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस है हमारा, जिसमें कोई भी इन सीटू वैल्यूएशन नहीं हो रहा है, इन सीटू वैल्यूएशन नहीं हो रहा है। स्मिता, आप भी सोचना इस बारे में यार, कोई भी वैल्यूएशन हम जंगल में नहीं कर रहे हैं, सारा कच्चा माल बाहर आता है। हमारे आदिवासी सिर्फ एक रॉ मटेरियल कलेक्टर बन गए हैं, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। दे मस्ट ऐड वैल्यू विद इन द फॉरेस्ट, वी शुड एनकरेज दैट। और इसके बहुत सारे सोल्यूशन है हमारे पास, हम आपके हेल्प कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर। लेकिन आप वैल्यूएशन कराओ, इन सिटू वैल्यूएशन, जहां माल होता है वहीं पर वैल्यूएशन थोड़ा होना चाहिए, उसके
सर
बाद बाजार में आए।
सर एक चीज जैसे आप सुना होगा, sir, we have forest fire, and the most critical problem in the forest fire, the reason for the ground forest fire in Jharkhand is mahua flower collection during the peak summer months. Sir.
हम्म
So
हम्म
here, the forest is we have villages interspersed with the forest area only. So it's very difficult to reach each and every remote villages and
करेक्ट
communicate with the people that before collection, please don't fire the under the tree, because people
करेक्ट
do fire it because the area need to be very clean so that the flower can be easily picked up.
करेक्ट
Sir, nowadays we are actually giving this villages net to tie up under the tree so
हाँ, वो
that
फूल इस पे गिर जाएगा।
yes, sir. But sir, it is very costly because for covering one mahua tree, we need to invest 2,000, minimum 2,000 rupees, because it needs sand and
करेक्ट
manpower, everything, and the net and all. So these days, Didis, they are using all the saris also to tie up around
करेक्ट
the
करेक्ट करेक्ट
tree, and they are collecting. And some of them are what they are doing. They are brooming the underground of the tree.
करेक्ट
They
करेक्ट
are using gobar to
हाँ
clean it up, so that they can morning it is easily to take with the help of the jhadu they can clean up, so and the mahua flowers can be easily collected without much dust and dirt. So sir, in Jharkhand, as you said, we need lot of innovations needed. uh,
एब्सोल्युटली यार, देखो महुआ फ्लावर गिरता है जब ओस गिरती है सुबह के टाइम पे, तो
sir,
वो
sir,
क्या होता है उस समय, वो मॉइस्चर जो होता है उसके ऊपर, उस पे मिट्टी चिपकती है। तो अगर
जी
वो उसी समय कलेक्ट कर लिया जाए ना, जब वो गिर रहा होता है,
sir,
तो
sir,
मिट्टी कम चटकेगी उसके ऊपर,
जी
अगर
sir,
मान लो कुछ और नहीं भी किया है तो
जी
बट
sir,
दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इशू दैट यू रेज्ड। I visited that FPO in women-led FPO, which has hired a professional in Gumla, where they are having 4 crore of turnover in millet products and so on. तो मतलब अच्छा है, महुआ का भी उन्होंने कुछ बनाया, लड्डू वड्डू बनाए हैं। But I completely agree, and this is an area where we can support you and we'd like to work with you, कि जो महुआ के कितने सारे प्रोडक्ट हैं जिनको हमने अभी तक एक्सप्लोर नहीं किया है ना, महुआ फ्लावर के, महुआ के सीड का, महुआ के कोट का। यस पंकज, यू वर सेइंग समथिंग। पंकज, आपका पुराना हाथ खड़ा हुआ है।
जी सर, हाथ खड़ा है
हाँ
सर। मैं बेसिकली एक
हाँ।
छोटा क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रहा था। सर, जो आपका शोध यात्रा है, तो ये एक बहुत ही अच्छा इनिशिएटिव है सर आपका। आई थिंक ये रेप्लिकेबल मॉडल भी हो सकता है। मैं बस इंटरेस्टेड हूँ जानने में सर, इंडिया में कितने प्रोफेसर्स ने या कॉलेजेस ने इसको रेप्लिकेट किया है, जो आपने शोध किया।
नहीं किया है किसी ने भाई, और मैं क्या करूं उसके लिए, बताओ। क्योंकि ये बड़ा मेहनत का काम है, 3 महीने पहले हम लोग शुरुआत करते हैं, तैयारी करते हैं, ढूंढते हैं लोगों को, उनके लिए एक रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर करते हैं जो हम लोकल लैंग्वेज में बांटते हैं। अभी मुलुगु में थे हम, तेलंगाना में, तो वहाँ हमने शोध यात्रा की फॉरेस्ट के अंदर। 2 दिन 3 दिन तो फॉरेस्ट में चले थे, और आदिवासी क्षेत्र है वो। तो हम लोग पूरे देश में चलते हैं, गर्मी में सर्दी में, जैसे मैंने बताया। लेकिन उसके अंदर जो इंटेंसिटी है, मेहनत है, शायद नहीं करना चाहते होंगे लोग, मैं और क्या कहूँ उसके लिए। लेकिन हमारे स्टूडेंट्स भी जाते हैं तो हम तो उनके लिए भी 2 कोर्स भी चलाए हमने। लेकिन ये जरूरी है, जैसे अभी कल्याण बता रहा था कि भाई क्यों ना हम फॉरेस्ट के अंदर ही कुछ यातनाएं करें, ताकि जो फॉरेस्ट कन्फ्लिक्ट्स हैं, फॉरेस्ट अंडर यूटिलाइज रिसोर्सेज हैं, अंडर टैप पोटेंशियल है, जो ट्राइबल्स के साथ में जो चैलेंजेस हैं, उनको जो वैल्यू एडिशन के सोर्सेज चाहिए, वो सब मैप हो जाएं तो उनके लिए कुछ काम हो सकता है। तो ये कॉलेजेस में तो नहीं हुआ है रेप्लिकेट, लेकिन आप लोग जुड़ सकते हो, कोई भी आ सकता है, जो 2 शोध यात्रा उसमें कोई भी जुड़ सकता है।
तो पंकज, मे बी जस्ट टू ऐड ऑन टू व्हाट सर सेड, तो ये सब आइडिया कहाँ से आया? जनवरी में वी वेंट फॉर दैट डलमा ट्रिप, half day trip. Raghu sir was there, Vinayak sir was there, and February में Anil Gupta sir came to Ahmedabad, and उनके साथ Raghu sir, Vinayak sir and I we discussed, and we mentioned about rural immersion program. एक्सेलराई में हम लोग 20 साल से कर रहे हैं rural immersion program, where our students go and spend 2 nights in different villages of West Singhbhum, East Singhbhum and सरायकेला खरसावा। तो सर ने आइडिया दिया कि क्यों नहीं तुम एक विलेज नॉलेज बैंक बनाओ। And वहां से after sir left, then internally we started discussing that maybe with the help of Smita ji and Abu sir, we can have a short course, a 2-3 day course modeled along, let's say, driven by Shori Yatra, but concentrated in forest around this. Which are the topics we can discuss? How this will be structured? Because academic setting में इसको credit देना पड़ेगा कि कितने credit का होगा, उतने hours।
टर्म ब्रेक में करो ना, टर्म ब्रेक में करो।
हाँ सर, एग्जैक्टली वही तो, इसका हमने सोचा था टर्म 4 एंड टर्म 5। तो सितंबर वाला जो पीरियड रहेगा वहां पे, और लेट्स से जनवरी वाला पीरियड, दिसंबर जनवरी, टर्म 5 एंड टर्म 6 के ब्रेक में। तो टेंटेटिवली वी शॉर्टलिस्टेड अ टाइटल, हाथी मेरे साथी, एज अ नेम ऑफ द कोर्स।
वेरी नाइस, वेरी नाइस, वेरी
नेम ऑफ द
नाइस।
कोर्स। तो
Isn't
ह्यूमन,
will like it?
हाँ, तो प्रोफेसर विनायक त्रिपाठी की पीएचडी थीसिस है ह्यूमन एनिमल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में, तो वो वहां पे आ जाएंगे। रघु सर विल कम फ्रॉम एन इकोलॉजी बैकग्राउंड, वो आ जाएंगे। आई विल पिच इन समथिंग फ्रॉम द पब्लिक पॉलिसी एनर्जी बैकग्राउंड। एंड इसमें वी
बड़ा
वांटेड
अच्छा
टू स्टार्ट
आइडिया,
विद
बहुत
वी
अच्छा
वांटेड टू
आइडिया,
स्टार्ट इट
बहुत
विद अ
अच्छा।
30
करो
सेक्शन का
करो
बैच,
करो करो,
स्टार्ट
बहुत
करने
अच्छा
वाले
आइडिया,
थे।
बहुत
बट
अच्छा आइडिया।
we missed the deadline for applying for a new course selective.
ओह अच्छा
So,
अच्छा
so,
अच्छा,
so we will now apply in the month of October so that we can roll it out in the coming batch.
वंडरफुल
So next
वंडरफुल।
time when you ask कि पंकज कितने लोगों ने replicate किया है, hopefully I'll be in a position to say
नहीं नहीं
58 ने
नहीं,
replicate किया
डेफिनेटली
है।
डेफिनेटली डेफिनेटली।
इसे
तो
रेप्लिकेट
अभी
करने
तो हमारा टाइम ज्यादा हो गया, बट अगर किसी को कुछ कहना है जो नहीं कह पाए हैं अभी
हाँ,
तक, दे आर वेलकम
so
बिफोर वी
one
गो।
last thing from I think sir you ended your slide on that note of दिल बड़ा दिमाग बड़ा, DVDV. So I think I can speak on the behalf of everyone here कि आज हम सबका मतलब what you mentioned would have touched our दिल and दिमाग both, and hopefully it will lead to within our respective organization and within our respective networks, hopefully वो दिल भी बढ़ा होगा, दिमाग भी बढ़े, so that hopefully when next time we interact we can share some more insights like Raja Ghosh and others with you. And thank you so much, sir, for giving us time
थैंक यू,
and all this
गॉड
experience on
ब्लेस यू
Sunday.
ऑल, वंडरफul, थैंक यू सो मच।
Anupama ji, you wanted to share something?
प्लीज गो
I
अहेड।
just wanted to thank on behalf of everyone, sir, for a wonderful interaction. And I would hope I should not be giving a formal thanks because I believe that sir का एक आध session और होना चाहिए कल्याण जी, because it's very very important than other things. और जहाँ तक संवेदनशीलता की बात है, क्योंकि ये आता नहीं है, एंड सर का जो जो पंचिंग लाइन जो मैंने यहाँ से लिया भी है कि जो संस्कृति है वो बदलती रहती है, मतलब कल्चर इज एंड वी नीड टू क्रिएट दैट, so that is very important. That doesn't come when person is not sensitive, and I think a person as sensitive as you can only drive that kind of a change and innovations, and they are very important, sir. और मैंने चूंकि मैं पब्लिक प्रोफेसर की पब्लिक पॉलिसी में प्रोफेसर हूँ ATI में, यहाँ पे एकेडमी में ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन है जहाँ पे हम SAS और सिविल सर्विस ऑफिसर्स को ट्रेन करते हैं सर. बट बेसिकली आई एम फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक्स, सो माई ब्रश with your work was long back in 2000 when I attended an environment program in IGIDR. तो आई वॉज स्पॉन्सर्ड बाय IIFM. तो और उसके पहले भी सर मैंने रिफ्रेशर कोर्स किया था इकोनॉमिक्स में, तो गोपाल कड़ेकोड़ी और कंचन चोपड़ा जी को सुनने का मौका मिला, और तब आपका फिर मैंने पहला देखा कि योर फर्स्ट काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट टू गैरेट हार्डिन्स दिस थिंग, आई रेड दैट, एंड देन इकोलॉजिकल इकोनॉमिक्स. तो मेरा फर्स्ट brush with ecological economics happened with you, and then I've been watching
वंडरफुल
you on
वंडरफul,
Atri
सो
and other
नाइस
sites,
सो
and
नाइस सो
I've
नाइस।
been, so it's been wonderful. As your name was there already, a big name for me, and very very fortunate to listen to you today, sir. So it was wonderful, and yes, we'll take that that policies इटरेशन जो ज़रूरी होता है पॉलिसी में, और ये बात मैं कहती भी हूँ अपने पॉलिसी के डिबेट्स में या फोरम्स में, even in my classrooms, that we need to change the policy at the design level also. So now I'm working in the social protection area where we are developing case studies. So it is not even if you are 20 years of policy, we can change at the design level if it is required, because we need to keep iterations are required. I think that is very, very important, and that comes through innovations only and through a very, very sensitive mind. And और संवेदनशीलता का जो पुट है वो जरूरी है, और उसमें सबसे अच्छी चीज जो आपको मैं बहुत थैंक देना चाहूंगी, इट कम्स from your PPT. We could make very artistic PPTs, sir. So that speaks volumes about. So you need not tell many things. The stories come on their own. Thank you so much.
Thank you
So much.
Riti, you wanted to say something before we close?
Yes, I'll just take a minute, sir. You might have understood from my question, sir, that my mind is still stuck on that there might be limitations on innovation, but a very important thing I learned from your class was regarding team building and sustainable leadership. And I would just want to briefly repeat few points you have said, sir, that the leaders must monitor the context, not content. When you relate to the pain of others, that's when you're able to arrive at good decision making, and decision making must happen as close to the ground as possible. And most importantly, sir, after implementing good ideas, we must celebrate it, encourage it, and keep it for perpetuity for development of the culture of the institution. And another thing was, sir, that when you said link people with what they believe in, because then they'll be interested in changing things in the area, creating something new, and not to look at people in the ecosystem as a competitor, but to look at them as complementary to your efforts for the betterment of your sector, and not to make scale the enemy of sustainability, which what I had been doing till now. Because the few people who are benefiting from the solution would really be suffering in the absence. So try to make as many changes as possible, and don't try to deliver all the results in one go. Your product can keep developing. As you said, the customers also expect some solutions in the beginning and not the entire thing. So I really want to thank
Wonderful.
you so much, sir.
What a great takeaway. And thank you so much, Riti. And don't ever hesitate. All of you are welcome to write. And my email, as you know, is very simple. You can use either my IMA email or anilg@gyan.org. Welcome to write. And I generally reply within 24 hours. Sometime if I'm caught up, then it may be delayed by a day or two, but otherwise I reply every day. So you're most welcome to share and critique. And all my papers are in open access. Everything is in open access. So all databases. Thank you so much. Good luck to you and all power to you to bring about whatever change that you can do. And I'm sure you will bring about a lot of changes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.